want to do it while I'm streaming, and she hasn't come back to me on that yet.
Nah, give her some time. It takes her time. It takes her time every now and then to get back to people. I've had moments where it'd be like 3, 4, 5 days before she gets back to me. So that's normal.
I just want it done by the next time you guys get set. That's
okay. Once something forwards, I can sit down and show her how to update her character sheet, much like I did with Bogeron.
Yeah, except hers is going to be weird because of the crystal and stuff. That's why I'm going to handle it.
Okay, no, that's I would. No, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah,
totally fair.
Because her sheets changed a lot more than just a simple level up. She almost in a way has a new creature type. So
holy shit! Is she even the halfling or gnome that we know her as?
She's still a halfling gnome. She's still a humanoid. But if you don't know, some creatures in my game can have multiple creature types, unlike vanilla D&D. So, for example, you can be like a construct humanoid or whatever. In her case, she's probably going to gain another creature type on top of humanoid, given her current situation. But yeah, also, we're live, by the way.
Oh, hello, YouTube.
Hello. Usually, most of the people who watch me are either just working or just don't talk in the chat, so I'm used to there not being much activity, but hey. Also, you had me looking up... Actually, I can go ahead and show you my screen. Actually, no, I don't. Oh, do you care about seeing my Roll20 screen?
I don't personally care.
Okay. I was looking up Zone... for the people watching the stream, I was looking up Zone of Truth because I was looking up the specifics on what can and can't be done under Zone of Truth because Thorin brought it up.
Well, funnily enough, as somebody who has intimate knowledge of Zone of Truth, having played characters that have Zone of Truth, as long as you are not lying to the person, Zone of Truth will not go off. You can be evasive about it, but you cannot lie.
And you cannot directly state a falsehood. Yes. A creature can't speak a deliberate lie while in the radius. You know whether the creature succeeds or fails. So, like, yeah. The gray area only comes in when it's up to what the DM determines to be a deliberate lie. That is where the gray area comes in.
And boy, oh boy, this community is known for its rule lawyers, so I could sit here and debate it all day, but that would be counterintuitive.
Alright. I'm interesting when it comes to rule lawyers. On one hand, I like rule lawyers just because of the fact that they remind me a lot of stuff I either forget or remind other players of stuff they forget. But there's also a lot of times where there's a rule lawyer that I have to correct. And some rule lawyers know how to handle that, and some rule lawyers don't.
Yeah.
For example, casting foci was actually there's a recent example of Tangless where he mentioned something to you guys that's an answer to your question. I had to go in and no, it's this. And he was like, oh. I mean, Cathangus is good at handling it. He's a rule lawyer, but he's also an assistant DM, so that's part of why. Part of what made him assistant DM is because he's a rules lawyer. But yeah, no, he can handle it fine. But like, for example, Daniel, who is someone who never even made the second one in my campaign, a player who dropped out, he was a rules lawyer that also liked to largely govern how the thing was going to be run. And he didn't like when I said no, despite me being the DM.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. I've had a few problem players like that in the past at other tables. And those are normally the kinds of people that go, okay, off the table.
You ever hear any any little things about this quote-unquote Ghosts of the Arena character that floats around in Drakkenheim? Not Drakkenheim, in Ghostwalker.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, well, this was going to be a pretty big plot point early in the campaign, back before there was timelines. There was going to be the Ghost of the Arena, which is going to be like a big, interesting thing where it's this individual that only that seems to go into arena fights and fights and is like the highest ranking member, but no one can see him ever. Like when he goes to leave, no one ever sees him where he goes or when he arrives. It's just like at one point his name will show up on the list, and then when the fight is about to happen, he just walks into the arena as if he was always there. And then when he leaves, he just vanishes and no one sees where he goes. You know,
That's interesting.
there's like a big mystery of setting up with that to also set up the arena fight system, which is a system I'm really proud of that isn't being used much. I'm a little salty about that because that's annoying. But with all of that, I was going to have it tied to a player, and that being Daniel. But then there's a giant fight that happened before the actual thing. There's a couple of scuffles that me and Daniel got into in the Session Zero. And then a big fight happened in the Session Zero. And he just kind of not only left the campaign, he left my server and blocked me.
Oh, well, boo-hoo.
But the problem was, I couldn't just remove his character. Because I had set it up for so long. And it was like a week until the session. So I didn't have enough time to remake plans. Until the Session 1. So I just kind of had to run him as an NPC, and I didn't run him well, and eventually I just slowly started writing him out of the story. I mean, he technically exists in the story, but he's getting less and less narrative weight because he's not a player character, so I have no reason to put him in a ton of things right now.
Now, as somebody who's a forever player, because I've tried DM, and it's not for me. Me personally, I would have just sent him off to another village or town or even entire continent and just forgot about him.
Right. The only reason why I even did something with him is just because of the fact that he was tied into the plot of Session 1. Like, directly tied into the plot. In particular, there was 2 different other player characters who had, who were specifically hunting this man. Not hunting him, but, like, wanted to specifically face this man in the arena. To prove that they were good arena fighters. And I didn't want them to lose their payoff moment by me writing the character out. So I ran it for a little bit as an NPC.
Fair enough. What can you do, right? You did what you could with what you had, and you had an uncompromising player.
Yeah.
You did the best you could.
That's also where Harold and Gerald came from, which... Can I tell you about Harold and Gerald? Because they actually have a funny backstory as to why they exist in the campaign.
Yeah. Tell me all about it.
So, if you don't know who Harold and Gerald are, because you're in Timeline 2 and I don't know if you met them there, they are 2 big half-ogres. Are you familiar at all with the half-ogre stat block?
To an extent, I haven't met many half-ogres, so it's
There's
kind of
good
touch and
reason.
go.
There's good reason. Half-ogres are as bland, mundane, and vanilla as you can get of a stat block. Like, I'm pulling up on screen for the people who read at home, and I'll send you a screenshot you in your DMs. But look at this stat block and tell me of anything interesting here.
This almost looks like a player stat block. And is this an NPC?
This is a creature. It's a large creature.
This stat block doesn't give me any large creature vibes. This gives me a player stat block vibe.
It's challenge rating 1. Yeah.
That's pretty fucking bland. Jesus.
And if you're curious, by the way, if their appearance redeems at all, here's what the things look like.
About as bland as they get.
Yep, that is incredibly generic and bland. They aren't even full ogres; they're just half ogres. So, when I was doing the Session 0 with since a ton of my players were new to D&D, and because I was working on very limited things, I didn't have many books at the time, I just took this stat block, and I basically said that when they were making their characters, I said, okay, we're also going to do a Session 0 fight in a one-on-one thing, where at some point in your past, your character fought in the arena, and they fought against 2 half-ogres in the arena.
And they happen to be Harold and Gerald.
Well, we'll get there. They were unnamed at the time, and they were just generic. Keep in mind, by the way, these were level 4 characters fighting these things. So I thought that level 4 characters could handle 2 half-ogres, which at the time, yeah, they could. Also, keep in mind, this is back when I was still doing... this is still including the fact that I allow you to have both an ASI and a feat when you get your ASI upgrade. So, there is that. Anyway, so, these half-ogres fought every single person in their session zeros, including the Ghost of the Arena, actually. And I kept a little log of how all those battles went. And in this little log, I specifically wrote down one thing that went really badly for the half-ogres. And so when the session 1 rolled around, the half-ogres were in that fight too. By the way, I want to talk about session 1 in a little bit. I'll get to that in a second. When session 1 arena fight happened, half-ogres were there too, except they were, first off, they now had names, and 2, they were more powerful because they learned from their mistakes and got things like more armor, more toughness, more better weapons. Turns out it was the same 2 half-ogres that fought all of them, and they learned from each individual one, including them picking up the books of magical knowledge to get the shield spell and stuff to counter magic missile. Yeah, and so that's how Harold and Gerald were born, is they were half-ogres who actually learned from their mistakes and started getting things like, chainmail and all that sort of stuff. And then, eventually, it came to find out that mine, because they could be any chaotic alignment, so I just said, would it be funny if they were chaotic good? Like, they weren't even like the stereotypical big ogre monster, they were just big, gentle giants. And the player characters went, can we recruit these guys?
Oh, nice.
I didn't have a problem with it. So, Harold and Gerald have been in the party for Timeline 1 ever since. You just kind of been there.
I'm all about NPC adopting, but I try not to do it too much because it's like, oh, Bobo the Goblin just got decimated by friendly fire.
Right. And I'm totally fine with NPC adoption because if you've ever played the Fire Emblem franchise, I'm a big fan of that. And to me, anyone is recruitable if you try hard enough. Anyone with a name and a face, if you play the Fire Emblem games, you know that pretty much everyone with a name and a face in those games that has a unit that appears on the battlefield is recruitable. If you try hard enough or get one of the DLCs or whatever. And I try to do the same thing in D&D, where, like, it doesn't matter how bad the villain is, or, like, what the position of the ally is, or whatever. If you try hard enough and play your cards right, you can recruit basically anyone to your side. So that's cool, and I'm all for it. So, yeah, you don't need to hold back if you want to recruit. If, like, for example, you try to redeem some of the dwarves or something, you try to get them on your side, you do that.
I don't know if our force here is going to try, depending on the depths of their depravity, he may just cut them down out of a sense of honor and pride.
Right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go on. Nah, you first.
That does remind me, I wanted to talk about the Session 1 fight, because the Session 1 fight for you guys is a little different. The Session 1 arena battle for Timeline 1 was really cool and plays on the fact that there was about 8 players at the time. All with their own characters. And what I did was, you know how in the arena system you don't have to worry about permanently dying? So I went, what if the Session 1 opening thing was everyone getting prepared for an arena fight, and then they find out when they get into the fight that it's against each other. It's half the party against half the party with NPCs on each side helping.
That's not chaotic.
That was chaotic. It was a lot of fun. And it was a good crash course for everyone to test their abilities and learn the team dynamics, because they're literally fighting against each other while learning their own characters' capabilities. It was. I'm really proud of that fight.
I think my most proud moment, or just prideful moment in the campaign, was when I cut that tree down.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty fucking awesome moment. I love that moment.
It's just like this big ass, and we're not even talking like the little tiny trees you see in the tree lines. We're talking like one of those big ass sycamore trees that you would see at like in the Appalachian Mountains. It's just
right. Like in my head, I pictured that you cut down a tree that was about as wide as you were in a few hits. Like you didn't do it in one hit at the time, but you did it in a few hits, and you've only gotten stronger since then.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, with your new belt of giant strength or whatever it is, you've more than doubled the amount of strength you had back then.
On top of the level up. Last level up, I ended up, I didn't even get an ASI, and somehow I got an extra point in strength. I was like, wonder where that came from.
Don't know. By the way, speaking of ASIs, thoughts on the what I put in D&D announcements?
I just kind of shrugged my shoulders, like I'm not sure if I want that, so I just shrugged my shoulders at it.
It's an interesting idea. It's something I played around a little bit with it. In particular, back with Cathangus, when he was talking about going Ranger, but he wanted to level up Soulwander still, I was like, well, there could be synergy between those two, potentially. I'm like, yeah, Bloodhunter has this thing. So I started looking at all the other things that could possibly have synergies between the classes. And I think it's a cool system. The only problem is it's a little complicated to keep track of in Roll20, but it's not the end of the world. Because it's not like you suddenly lose levels unless you do something like the book of the Deck of Many Things or something. Other than that, when the fuck are you going to lose levels? I can't think of much in 5e.
Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened, but the call dropped and then reconnected me, so I heard half of what you said.
Well, I said I kind of like the system, though it is admittedly a little complicated but to keep track of on Roll20. Though it's not even all that complicated when you consider that it only really becomes complicated when you start to lose levels. But like outside of the Deck of Many Things, how are you going to ever lose levels in 5e?
Well, believe it or not, and this goes back to the first edition. This goes all the way back to the first edition, but I forget what it was. I think it was like a lich or a zombie or a skeleton or something like that. It was one of the undead, and I think it's the ghost at this point, that if it touches you, it drains levels from you.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I think it is.
But
you may want to look it up. Yeah, because I think it's either the ghost or the wraith that does that.
I pulled up the ghost in the compendium. I'll pull up the wraith as well.
I know it's one of the undead.
It's just like the ones by the way. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
I have that meaning.
Because Wraith has life drain, and then
so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that life drain just drains your. Okay, this one it does a lot of necrotic damage, Constitution save, or their hit point maximum is reduced. Yeah, no, it doesn't drain your levels; it just drains your hit point maximum. They removed a ton of the draining levels effects in 4th edition and just kept that pattern up with 5th. The only things I can think of now that even do it are certain artifacts and legendary items, and that's it. And even those are rare. I know back in like 3.5, there were certain spells that if you cast them, you lost caster levels. But I know that's not a thing anymore.
Something that has always terrified me, being a 10-year player and all that, was the Deck of Many Things, as you mentioned earlier, and that's only because of my experience around the Deck of Many Things.
Yeah, I'm one of the few DMs that likes the Deck of Many Things.
I hate the deck of many things, and it's only because of the sheer unbridled chaos that thing can unleash.
Yeah, which is exactly why I like it, because of the sheer unbridled chaos that thing can unleash. uh, I'm a DM who loves sheer unbridled chaos. That's why there's so many. Well, okay, there's a ton of mechanics to do it, but like, there's a lot of mechanics in my campaign that run off of RNG, and that's why, because I like chaos and I like things happening that aren't my fault necessarily. Because I'm like,
I mean, as a DM, you can always just say no. So one way or the other, you're either at fault or indirectly at fault.
but I don't do that as a DM, because as a DM, I do the open roll. Basically, I have an open roll code where any rolls I make are seeable by the players. I don't do any private rolls. Yeah, so I won't fudge dice. I won't fudge results. I don't. No. To me, I just let things fall as they may, and whatever happens, happens. If you get like a nat 20 on a certain creature and you one-shot the end boss, I'll let that happen. I don't care. You know, if the end boss, like, you're on 1 HP, you're about to kill him, but then you miss, and then he gets a nat 20 and kills you. Oh well, that happens.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, as I said before, like, I won't pull my punches in killing players, and also I won't pull my punches when it comes to dice. I'll just let dice fall as they are. I don't veto them like a lot of DMs do.
Do I smell an arms race?
Can you smell what the DM is cooking?
Whatever you're cooking smells like burnt owls.
Yeah. What are you thinking of the new dungeon, by the way? The one that you're currently in.
You mean the one that I kind of helped develop a little? I don't even know how to answer that question. I have so many ways I can answer, none of which are easy. It gives me, like I was saying before, it gives me the Tomb of Annihilation vibe, just without it being Tomb of Annihilation.
Right.
So it's one of those. Do I look at the enemies and worry about them, or is it the dungeon I really need to worry about, or is it both?
In this case, I would say it's probably both. It's like, yeah, both is good.
Both. Kind of like that Curse of Strahd campaign. We're looking at this one guy, and he's just like, I'm this bard, I'm Fabio or whatever, and we're just looking at him, it's like, Strahd, it's Strahd.
Right. Also, is there any leak on my microphone, or are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I was like, could you hear any echoing or whatever? But if we're good, we're good. Yay.
I ended up adding a few extra spells, maybe one or two, but those weren't necessary to the whole Forge class, which, yeah, that's the thing. Forge domain, probably an S-tier fucking domain class that I've ever had a chance to play around with. Being the first time using the Forge domain, easily an S-tier in my books.
Okay. That's an interesting opinion. It's your opinion. In my opinion, it's still no Twilight Domain cleric, but...
Well, that's true, but imagine the rogue grabs a key and you just cast your divinity and they have a copy of the key, and it's a real key.
Right, and you can get more use out of your Channel Divinity in my campaign, because clerics get more Channel Divinity in the campaign.
I mean, we're not even talking about 6th level stone where I get resistance to fire, which I already have.
Yeah.
And then at 17th, it's straight immunity.
Sure. The only, do you want to know why I consider Twilight to be stronger myself? I can tell you.
Go for it.
It's mainly because, I mean, it has cool bonus spells, but mainly because once you reach, what is the level? Once you reach 7th level in it, Uh, okay. Once you reach 7th level in it, you'll have the eyes of the, you'll have the unlock the greater invisibility spell from its cleric level spells.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, you have 2 abilities that make this terrifying. One is the 6th level ability Steps of Night, which says you draw on mystical power of night to rise into the air. As a bonus action, if you're in dim light or darkness, you can magically give yourself a fly speed equal to your walk speed for 1 minute. You can use the bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus if you gain knowledge from using the long rest. You might say, well, that's situational. Except Twilight Sanctuary is their child divinity, which says, as an action, you can present your holy symbol, and a sphere of twilight emanates from you. The sphere is centered on you, has a 30-foot radius, and is filled with dim light. So what you can effectively do at level 7, is cast greater invisibility on yourself, use your channel divinity, and now you're just a flying invisible ball of dim light that can attack out of invisibility.
That's actually pretty neat. But
yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat and pretty actually overpowered.
Too bad invisibility breaks when you make an attack.
No, because this is greater invisibility, not regular invisibility.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I said you can attack out of it because it's greater invisibility, not regular in this case. That's why I said it's overpowered, because, like, you get this at level 7. Hell. And then, like...
enough.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, hell, give me enough time and I'll change your opinion on that.
Right, and that's not even all that Twilight Sanctuary does, either, because it says, whenever a creature in the sphere ends its turn, you can grant it one of the following effects. Either ending a condition of charmed or frightened, or giving it temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your cleric level. So you can just constantly give yourself temporary hit points at the end of every one of your turns while you're in the sphere, which is constantly following you while you're flying and invisible.
What I personally like about the Forge Nine is that I can imbue his weapons with magic for like an hour. It's a lot of time in a combat situation, especially if you get a +1 and at higher levels +2.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying the Force Domain is weaker. It's a strong cleric cantrip. Sorry, it's a strong cleric class. It's just, not one I would think of immediately for very powerful. It's more just one I think of for, this is a good cleric to pick up if you want to be a crafting cleric, which you do. And it's one that Morgan happens to fit into, which is also nice.
Yay! Flavor!
Yep. Also, my self-insert character technically fits into there too as one of the people that you can be a Forge Domain for.
Ew, elves!
Right.
But wait until I get that option to have creation or even fabricate it. 5 foot cubic square of rope. It's a lot of rope.
True.
I mean, that's where the shenanigans kick in.
True, potentially. Depending on what you plan on using the rope for. What do you plan on using the rope for?
Oh, it ain't just rope in general. I'm just using rope as an example.
Right. Because I'm like, but 5 cubic feet of rope, that's cool. How often do people actually use it to climb or actually tie up someone? In a lot of my campaigns, people usually end up throwing out their rope because they can't think of good uses for it. Which I don't agree with, but I see a lot of players do that.
I don't ever see me do that. I think we caught a guy in Timeline 2 and had to use the rope to hog tie him down and bring him back.
Right.
So they're all uses. You just gotta know when and where.
Yeah, it has its definite uses. I do agree with that. Oh,
kind of like creation. If you have the right the right conditions for it, you can drown out dungeons.
I mean, potentially, yeah. If you do the right thing. But then again, you can also do that with the canter of endless water. A
Yeah,
champion of
how long
endless
does
water
that
can
even
also
take?
drown a dungeon in water, which is, I believe,
Yeah,
a rare item, if I remember correctly. Actually, not even that hard to make, because it's rare. Well, okay, early in the campaign, it would have been pretty hard to make. Nowadays, it's not that hard for you guys to make.
No.
Oh, that reminds me. So there's a certain magic item that I know you will find really cool, but you haven't come across it yet in the campaign. Though once Thorun knows about it, he's probably going to want to get
I'm
it
down
quickly.
for it. Yeah, he's probably going to, if it's going to either help him or the party in the long run. But run it by me. Let's see where it goes.
It's not something that Shadow has, but it's something that Dragon Hunters of the next tier up from Shadow do have. So he's considered a quote-unquote novice Dragon Hunter, whereas like the more experienced ones start to get this item. Dragonfire Boots. Would you like to know what Dragonfire Boots do?
Give me the ability to breathe fire.
No. They're boots. Why? They do not give you the ability to breathe fire. No, they do this, and I just sent you the thing.
Oh, that's pretty cool. 5 feet. Fireball spell.
These are
And a fireball spell.
These are Iron Man boots, is what they are.
And taking 5d6 bludgeoning damage if you hit any solid surface.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat there. Could just kind of just come down like an artillery strike if you cast enlarge on yourself.
Potentially, yes. But otherwise, this is also kind of a direct upgrade to Boots of Flying, which is nice.
Speaking of artillery strikes, I'm waiting for the day where I literally get dropped into a zone and it just looks like an artillery unit coming down on top of the enemy rank and file.
If at any point you figure out how to get 3D maneuvering gear, then I don't doubt that Thorun will set up opportunities to do that.
Even if you were just to cast catapult on him and send him in like an ODST drop pod, I'd be okay with that.
That would be a really high casting catapult, because catapult has a weight limit.
See, the thing is, I would just go in as normal to work, and then as I'm mid-flight, on the tip of my arc coming down, I would just cast enlarge, and the giants might come down and pull it.
Potentially, yeah. Let me look in catapult, because I believe like the default catapult is like, yeah, it's 1 to 5 pounds, and then it gains 5 more pounds every time you upcast it from first level. So if you have, let's say, a 200-pound dwarf, assuming you weren't wearing armor, 300-pound dwarf with armor, we'll just say, that would be like a 50th level casting of catapults or something. Really? No, it's not working with the catapult spell. Not unless they like reduce you first, and even that's debatable.
Actually, could do something like that. I mean,
You could. You'd have an easier time being shot out of a literal cannon or a literal cannon.
Hold on a minute? Do I hear Doom 2016 music?
I mean, that is what I'm referencing. Yes.
You can't punch a hole in the surface of Mars. Watch me do it.
Right. Also, of note, you do have Trogdor in the dungeon.
He's fine. He don't need to eat or anything like that.
Right.
What does he?
If you had moved through the Delirium Elemental, I forgot if you did or not, but if you had, he would have had to also make a con save for reference.
I think he did, but we forgot about him.
Yeah, probably. 3D maneuvering gear. Cables. Yeah. Since you're here, and I know that you were curious about this, I'm going to send you a certain screenshot, which is how I have the limits of this thing written out in Shadow stat block for my own referencing. I don't have a specific rarity for this item yet, because I don't have a specific rarity for kinetic cables. But Yeah. Here is the thing, and this is a magic item that Lion Fang more or less invented based off of a combination of like a harness and a bunch of kinetic cables. And yes, it's a direct reference to both Spider-Man and Attack on Titan.
I had a feeling as soon as you said 3D gear, I was like, I know where that's from. No, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you've seen Shadow use this not only for moving, this is how he clung to the ceiling, and also how he carried all those barrels, if you remember.
That explains a lot more now. That gives me a lot more answers than questions. Still have questions. I don't need sleep. I need answers.
Oh.
I could find myself using something like that to kind of Kratos myself across the map. Just kind of launch them in and just...
Who knows? Maybe this is the thing that gets Thorun interested in Artificer.
Probably not. I mean, I'm a pseudo artificer.
Which I will say, in my multi-classing synergies thing, one of them is a synergy between Cleric Forge Domain and Artificer, meaning every 3 levels of Cleric Forge Domain will give you a level in Artificer, and vice versa. Provided you had both classes. But that's if we actually do that system. I don't know if we will. Yeah. So, I've been talking a lot. I'll let you talk. I know you probably...
No, you're fine, man. You're fine. I'm glad with my DM talks.
Okay.
Personally, though, I'll be honest with you. As somebody who's very content with his optimized build, I have no desire to get. I mean, I'm already a step down, so.
Oh, I don't consider you a step down for me.
Well, no, as a half-step artificer, a pseudo artificer.
Oh, okay. I thought you said. I couldn't quite hear what you're saying. I thought you were saying like, oh, I consider myself like a step down from you. I was like, wait, what? No, don't consider.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm Thorman Blackvein. I'm equal to everyone.
Right.
But now I have no intention of being an artificer. They're cool and all, but we already have one, and I'm going to do that to them. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The hardest part about Artificer for you would be the fact that the main stat for it is intelligence.
And I don't need that.
Not to me, the day that you become an Artificer is the day you find and attune to a headband of intellect.
Easily, that's what's going to happen. It's like, headband of intellect. I am now Stephen Hawking smart.
Do you have an open attunement slot?
My bad. Let me do this right. Stephen is Hawkiness. Yes. Gotta keep it fancy.
Question: do you have an open attunement slot? I forget.
I do not. The armor, the shield, and the sword itself are all magic, and all of it are attunements.
Okay. Then you'd have to either find a way to get another attunement slot or unattune from something to attune to the headband of intellect. So yeah, that's even more reason why you wouldn't want to do that. Except maybe like farther down the road.
I'm planning on trying to get another attunement slot at some point. I'm just not sure how to do that just yet.
Yeah, the ways to get more attunement slots are twofold in the campaign. One, through epic boons. There's a couple of ways to do it, actually. Well, okay. There kind of is a way to do it through epic boons. It functionally acts that way, but it's not technically that way. And then the other way is just... there's Artificer features that can give you up to 6 attunement slots as you level up an Artificer more and more. Which makes sense for the class that's all about magic items, that they would just get more attunement slots over time.
That would. That does make sense. But I just don't want to take the levels in an Artificer just to get there. That feels like way too much.
Right, and the other way is an epic boon, which, I mean, it's hard to manually trigger an epic boon unless you're already beyond level 20, and by that point, you probably have enough stats that you can afford to just start dumping stats into intelligence, because why not at this point?
Yeah, right. But speaking about epic wounds, I'm trying to figure out a way to trigger another level of Hands of the King, because then I get greater restoration.
Right. You're looking to get that, which that would require you to get another epic boon of Hand of the King again, which would let you spam Greater Restoration. Which
Hmm.
that kind of got brought up in the past campaign, where it's like, I forget if it was like a thing this or someone, but someone mentioned like, hey, wasn't Thorin damaged by this thing? And like the damage where he got smacked against the wall. I remember he got smacked against the wall or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, but wait, wasn't he actually really damaged from that? Should we mention the damage? I said I didn't bother with it because he has Hands of the King. He can just heal himself immediately. And they're like, oh right,
Spam, 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 spam.
right, because you can just as an action go, you have 30 hit points. You have 30 hit points. You have 30 hit points, and there's no limit on it.
God, I'm broken, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I know you forget about it all the time, but yeah, you can just touch a thing, including yourself, and just go 30 hit points, 30 hit points. But on top of that, you're also doing lesser restoration, which that has a lot of things that does.
My dear and humble dungeon master, I haven't forgotten about my boon. I just simply don't use it.
Right, and
Not in a reliant manner, anyways. I don't want to rely on it because there may be a time where I just simply can't use it. And be like, fuck, I can't use it.
I can't think of a situation where you wouldn't be able to use it unless literally your hands are tied in such a way that you can't touch yourself with your hands. And even then, I bet people like Clocksworth would argue that, wait, I can still touch myself. Touching doesn't always mean with my hands. Because, yeah, I mean, in this case, it's not casting a spell. It's just using an ability.
I just don't want to be too reliant heavy on a feature.
Oh, yeah. And I know. I'm just saying there is, like, no real downside to it.
No, you're right. But why do you think I have a bandolier of health potions on?
Yeah.
39 health potions.
It does kind of invalidate health potions in a way, yes. Except health potions can be done as an interaction, whereas this has to be done as an action. There is that.
No, that is a thing. You could always just prep up and hand it to the team by downing a potion and then covering the rest of what you missed by
Right, which I pulled it up on screen, but for those at home who forget, lesser restoration can be used to restore blindness, deafness, paralyzed, and poisoned. So that means he can also heal any of those conditions just by touching someone as an action to not only give them 30 hit points, but heal one of those conditions as well. So that's actually notable for the other people in the party who are not resistant against poisons like you.
Actually, when I think about it, there was a spell in my cleric that's called Resistance. Can only imagine what that will do.
Resistance. Yeah, resistance is a cantrip. And what it does is it says you touch a willing creature and the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to a saving throw of their choice within the minute. It's concentration for up to a minute.
Okay. I also know there's another one, resistance to poison, which that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, unfortunately, resistance is not that. It's not that. It's just a kind of a crummy cantrip. I mean, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, unlike guidance, you can't really predict when you're going to make a saving throw. Unless it's something hyper-specific like drinking dragon blood.
Hold on, do I hear Polish folk music in the background? Wait, is that Geralt over there?
Geralt?
Drinking dragon blood butcher reference. Don't mind me.
Which, yes, for those who forget at home, there is in fact dragon blood in my campaign, and you can drink it, and it does give you temporary superpowers, aka venom stuff. Sorry, Bane's done. Venom is the drug that he injects himself with.
I hear you. I'm more focused on the spell component of the dragon materials than the benefit of getting a temporary benefit. That's veteran me talking, you know.
Yeah, I get you.
Better as a spell casting component than just a temporary buff.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, you haven't discovered it yet, but these octarine crystals are really useful as spellcasting components. These octarine crystals in this dungeon.
So I do have one question. If I start singing Diggy Diggy Hole as we go through, do we move faster?
If you start wait. Repeat that, singing Diggy Diggy Hole to move faster? What?
If Thorun starts singing Diggy Diggy Hole while they're in the dungeon, do they get a movement speed for it?
No.
Damn.
Also, I don't know if a movement speed buff would actually help you, given the fact that a lot of this dungeon is just go through a door, see what's on the other side. Okay, you have 3 doors. Go through a door, see what's on the other side. It's going to be a long series of doors.
And a long series of sessions trying to find our way out now.
Yeah, while you're... Oh, also, I have adjusted the table. So, given what happened with the air elemental thing, and the fact that I just didn't roll for 3 rooms because of you also having to deal with that, I have, in light of that, gone to the table and taken the results where it says nothing happened, and bumped up the commonality of that even more, so I will now roll for every room that we go into, but it's a lot more common that nothing will happen other than what's already in the room. Because I will point out, like, I have a thing that generated the dungeon, and then what I roll on these tables is in addition to whatever normal traps or stuff they already put in the room. Like, the air elemental effects, for example.
I'm going to tell you, because of where we are in the dungeon, that metal door will get investigated. It looks important.
Which role will be investigated?
No, the metal door.
Oh, yeah. It is
The one that
definitely
looks like it's supposed to be. The one that looks like it's probably a treasure vault.
I mean, you guys found the treasure vault. It's definitely a door to a room. What's on the other side? I don't know. I haven't actually checked what the room is on the other side. Actually, let me go do that. Because
I could, you know, that door isn't going to stay locked forever because I could just cast heat metal and melt the door.
Alright. Which does bring up a question. How much do you want spoilers?
I would rather not, if at all possible. I mean, the occasional sprinkle here and there is fine, but nothing too major.
So, yeah, I'm going to not spoil it then, but technically I have generated the entire dungeon already, so I know, well, okay, I've generated this entire floor. So I know what all the rooms are if I just look at them. And I can actually send you the file with the entire thing, but you guys won't have, like, a full map for it. So now I see what's on the other side of the doorway. That'll be interesting. But if you ever heard of a online program called Donjon?
No. Oh, wait, JonTron? Oh.
No, Donjon.
No.
Okay. I will send you a link to the website Donjon. It does not have the thing I'm currently using, but, like, it does have... It's just the site I'm using. It doesn't necessarily have a map on it. And this is actually the site I use to build my dungeon, like, get the basic framework of my dungeons, and then I add things onto it. And I want to tell you, because I think you'll find it really fucking cool, given what you know. Where the fudge is this link? Did I not? Oh. Yeah, here it is. Let me send this to your DMs. Let me just slink into your DMs real quick.
By all means.
There you go.
I'm just hanging out with the cat. You don't want the lot?
I don't mind the cat.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. That's a pretty cat. Speaking of cats, I like to think that the tavern has a bodega cat at the bare minimum.
Sure.
If you
I
know,
don't mind.
if you know what a bodega cat is.
Nope.
So basically, they're just kind of like store cats that kind of keep like pests and vermins out and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure
But a bodega is like
I'm sure Cariana's character has a pet bodega cat. That sounds like something she would have.
keep in mind that the bodega is just a half a gas station without the gas station.
Yeah. Either that or she would have a dog.
Let's have a look at that.
Because I know Cayenne is more of a dog person than a cat person. Oh.
Kitty! Oh, I know this thing.
Yeah. Check out the website, mess around with it a little bit. You'll get to see. It's actually kind of cool. And that's what I use to, quote unquote, randomly generate the dungeon. It gives me a basic framework that I can just like click. It's like, okay, what's through this door? Okay, click. And it just brings me down to the thing. I'm like, okay, I can click here to immediately jump to that room. Blah, blah. That's how I knew the number of the room. Like, for example, you guys are currently in room 133 of the dungeon I generated. Which, I am keeping note of that, by the way, because any rooms that you go in that are the same number as before, they won't have anything new in it unless it's been a substantial amount of time since then. Like, so if you guys do ever find your way back to the entrance, it will look the same as it was before, like how you left it. Which means the air elemental's likely still there. I just realized that.
I'm trying to tell it that we need to just kill this thing and be done with it.
Also, I gave you guys a lot of credit. This is actually a level 20 dungeon I generated.
Oh.
But that's also why the treasure was so ample. This is just one of, I think there's over 40 treasure rooms in this particular floor of the dungeon. If I just quickly scan through them. There's 40 piles of treasure.
How many levels?
So go ahead.
Let's be honest. How many levels to this dungeon are there? Because I know Dwarven Stronghold goes deep into the mountain, and I do need deep into the mountain.
Each level of the dungeon has a stair up and a stair down. I've only currently generated the base floor. As for the maximum number of floors, I will play that by ear. But for the most part, I generally have an idea of 10. All of equal size to the current one, and the current one has about 200 rooms.
Each floor has 40 piles of loot. There's a potential of 10 floors. That's over.
Okay, take care, Dad. Yeah,
oh
love
God,
you. My dad said he's run to the store. Sorry.
That's a lot of loot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's my dwarven heart.
You potentially have a lot of loot, but it's also a lot of danger. There's also a lot of dwarves, potentially, that are in this place still. Which, I will confirm, yes, there is still dwarves here, because this was an actively running city before the explosion happened. So...
You just sit there and steal a good chunk of their cast.
Right. Like, for example, it's like some of these are treasure pits, and then some of them, like, you might walk into and a still actively burning furnace with a bunch of dwarves manning it. That is still something that could happen.
Oh, speaking of that, I don't know if now is a good time to mention. I have my channel divinity now, and that dwarven ingot, I would like to turn that thing into a piece of that into a ring.
You were quiet and breaking up a bit there. It was hard to understand you.
I said I'm not sure if now is a good time to mention it, but because we're, in a long rest, not sure if I'm able to use my channel divinity to turn a piece of that dwarven ingot that I found into a ring.
Can the channel divinity be done over the course? Does it count as light activity, or can it be done over the course of a short rest?
I'm not sure. I know it takes an hour-long ritual.
Okay, well, let me look up Channel Divinity real quick, just to check.
Channel
Because if
Divinity
it can be
Artist's
done over the course,
Blessing.
if it can be done over the course of a short rest, then yes, it can be done over 2 of the 8 hours of long rest. When you use your Channel Divinity, you can use to do. As an action, you present your belief symbols. Oh, let's turn on dead. That's not what I'm trying to do. Oh, right. Because then you look up the Forge Domain one specifically. That's one.
Yeah. That's why I said it's Channel Divinity Artist's Blessing.
Thank you. That gives me a specific name. I didn't actually hear that part. Conduct an hour-long ritual. Craft the creatures play at the end of the hour. Okay. The creatures play at the end. No, it does not actually say there. So, no, it cannot coincide with the light, with a short rest. Meaning, no, it can't actually be done during the long rest. You need to spend an extra hour doing this.
I'll just wait until the session starts and do it.
Yeah, when the session starts, everyone's coming back from their long rest, and you can just be like, "Hey, can I do this thing for another hour?" And then people can just hang out for an hour.
Well, because I have an idea of what I want to do with the ring.
Which ring is it anyway that you talked about?
It's a non-magical ring. I can't make magic items with Artisan's Blessing. It's just a simple, mundane item worth less or up to 100 gold pieces.
Right, and are you making it out? What are you making it out of, though?
Dwarven metal, that ingot that I got out of the forge.
Yeah. Okay, make a dwarven metal ring. Yeah, you could realistically do that over the course of an hour at the start of the session, provided people are okay with that.
It's kind of a prep up to what I'm going to do with that ring.
Curious what you're planning on using the dwarven metal ring for, but I'm fine with it.
Imbue magic.
Imbue magic. Oh, so you're going to use it in when making a magic item, or are you doing something different?
No, I'm doing something different. It'll just be the ring. And then during the course of the entire time until the next long rest, I will just imbue the ring with magic, giving me a +1 to AC.
Oh, using the other ability of your thing. Okay, yeah. That's actually kind of a neat use of that. I did not think of that. No, that works.
Forge Domain.
Forge Domain. Let me double check, make sure this works. Blessing of the Forge. Touch one non-magical object that has a suit of armor or a simple martial. It says you touch one non-magical object that has a suit of armor or a simple martial weapon. A ring is not a suit of armor.
No, but I do have a spell called Imbue Magic that does give that effect.
You have a spell called Imbue Magic?
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
I've never heard of that spell.
I might be thinking of the wrong spell. I'll double check. Come on, open the laptop. There you go. I don't care about this. Let's finish updating. Come on, I don't care about this. Skip.
Apologies if this is a bother for you.
Very good. I'm dealing with laptop updates and shit like that.
Yeah. When I typed in imbue, all I saw was imbued wood focus. That's why I was like, but yeah, you can look it up and we'll get back.
I'm about to. I just gotta pull up Roll20 again.
Okay.
My laptop's just being a pain in the ass, that's all.
Yeah, well, just need to be patient and wait.
I know. It's been trying to give me Windows 11 this entire time, and it's like, no, I don't want Windows 11. Go away. More than bless you.
Yes, that was my sneeze.
Blessed be thy Morden's dear.
I bring up the delirium materials thing though, because potentially once Thorun finds out about the octarine crystals, which, spoiler alert, they're delirium. With spreads other properties in the delirium, he can find out that he can substitute it for some materials in his spells, which is something he's actually going to be worried about.
I had the wrong spell in mind. I was thinking of magic weapon. I need Blessings of the Forge for that other one.
Yeah, magic weapon only pick weapons.
Yeah, I'm a big dum-dum. Don't mind me, guys. I'm sorry.
It's fine. There's still currently no one that talked in the chat, so you're probably fine. No one saw that. Unless they watch this YouTube video later, which so comment on what your thoughts are on what Doran just did.
I do the mistake. I do the dwarf. Dwarf time.
Yeah. Dwarf time. Dum dum dum. But yeah, even then, Blessing the Forge just says imbue a weapon or, gain the ability to imbue a weapon or armor. Does a ring count as armor? I don't know.
I know it takes up a range slot and you can give range magic effects, which is kind of why I went under the assumption that I could just imbue it with magic for the time and get a +1. Because I know there's range of protection and things like that work just like that.
The Ring of Protection, though, is separate from +1 armor. It's a separate thing. It also requires attunement, unlike +1 armor. The Ring of Protection. So, no, I don't think this is going to work, because it specifically says one non-magical object as a suit of armor or a simple or martial weapon. Because it says suit of armor, no, you can't imbue a ring with Blessing of the Forge.
Okay. No, that makes no sense.
You could, though, for example, make a dwarven metal sword or whatever. They make it like a +1 sword. Don't forget, Brizzo can do something similar, actually. I think about it, because he can do.
I'm better.
I wasn't going to say better because I don't want this to be a competition.
It's not a competition. He's an artificer. I'm just giving him credit where credit's due.
Oh, that's actually no. I'm not talking about the artificer thing. I'm talking about the epic boon he has. Because an epic boon that he has allows him to, over the course of a short rest, give something a temporary +3. If I remember correctly.
Nice.
Yeah, let me double check. Grizzle Copper Top, get over here. Master of the Forge. Let me look at your epic boon. Hopefully it's right in this character sheet. It should be.
If I make a weapon out of it, thing, it's going to be a dwarven metal axe.
Yeah. Boon of the Master of the Forge. During a short rest, you can work to temporarily improve one non-magical item, turning it into a +3 weapon, armor, or shield until your next short rest. And yeah, there's no limit on how many times you can do that, but you can only do one per short rest, and it lasts until his next short rest. So he can just make a weapon, armor, or shield +3, provided it's non-magical. And that's on top of his other abilities as just an artificer. But that's because he has Boon of the Master of the Forge, which is an artificer-specific epic boon. So.
I made chainmail out of it, don't have enough ingots.
What was that about Cathingless?
I said chainmail because I don't have enough ingots.
Ah, yeah. Sorry, I misheard you.
No, you're good. I'm not blaming nobody. It happens.
Yeah. But yeah, you do have an ingot, which is nice. If you had to spell Fabricate, you could do more things, but unfortunately, Fabricate's kind of a high-ish level spell. It's not hard to get. It's not impossible to get in the form of a Book of Magical Knowledge. I know this because Surtur recently looked into getting one for him because of a certain dwarven metal galleon that he has from a loot box. Because he accidentally rolled a ship.
That's enough to pay my debts off.
It would be, yes. The problem that he's running into is he wants to sell it to make money, but you can't just sell the entire ship at once because how are you going to transport it? So what so him and I just kind of brainstormed over the course of 6 hours for the solution, trying to find something. And I eventually found out this. I mean, we came across the spell Fabricate like 3 hours in, but we were trying to think what's the best use of Fabricate where he could realistically carry these things. And we basically came to the conclusion that you use Fabricate to make a number of 1-inch cubes of dwarven metal. I think like 1 pound cubes. I forget what it is. A number of 1-inch cubes of dwarven metal that fit into a 5-foot cube. Because Fabricate doesn't say you can't make multiple things at once. This is whatever you make has to fit within a 5-foot cube. So why can't it just be a ton of smaller cubes in a 5-foot cube? And yeah,
Not bad. That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, and that way he can have like a bunch of tiny little bite-sized things. And then over the course of like however long, because it's a book of magical knowledge, he probably does it like, once a day. And just over the course of like, I think it was 2 weeks, he could then deconstruct the entirety of the ship into 1-inch cubes. To then sell off those 1-inch cubes. But he'll just have a giant fucking pile of 1-inch cubes of dwarven metal. Which he still would have to hand transport those, but it's a more manageable way to do it than just trying to lug an entire boat.
I can't deny the creativity of that.
Yeah. That was the only idea him and I could come up with in 6 hours that actually worked efficiently. And yeah, this is also concerning, by the way, that he does have Tensor's Floating Disc as a spell, which can help him with the lifting process. So, even considering that, this is the best option. I figured you would appreciate that, because you like creative uses of spells, and you talked about Fabricate recently.
Yeah, I like to get creative. I mean, it's kind of what makes the bread and butter of any spellcaster, their bread and butter.
Yeah, sorry, 10-foot cube. I forgot I allowed you to do it at 10-foot cube. Oh, wait, So if it's however the Fabricate, if you're working with metal, it's a 5-foot cube. Right. If it's metal, it's a 5-foot cube. My bad. I missed that.
So then the question becomes, if you found a bunch of gold ingots in a 5-foot cube, does that mean you can just fabricate a bunch of coins in a 5-foot cube?
Potentially, yeah. You could realistically do that. Provided you know how to, the mint of a coin well enough to be able to replicate it. You might still run into issues depending on how the coins are, like whether or not they have dates on them and whether or not you're making duplicates, blah, blah, blah. But if it's like a typical medieval society like this, a typical 1500 society like this one is, no, yeah, you could totally do that. You can take a bunch of gold coin, you can take a bunch of gold coins and turn them into ingots. You can take a bunch of ingots and turn them into gold coins. You can do that. And keep in mind, by the way, the products that you're turning don't have to be in a 5-foot cube. It's just what they turn into has to be able to fit in a 5-foot cube. You can take, for example, a giant pile of loose coins and then condense them into a 5-foot by 5-foot cube solid gold to then turn back into coins later. Now, that would make it a lot harder to transport, so I don't know why you would do that, but you could. It's kind of like D&D's version of Full Metal Alchemist, which is why I like it.
I need to make a ring of Fabricate ASAP.
Right. Ring of Fabricate. Oh, God. One item You know what item I'm excited to give Thorin, but also scared to give Thorin? It's a little homebrew item. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is it a weapon of mass destruction forged by the dwarves that wiped out the elves?
That's hyper-specific, and no. That's not what I was thinking of. It's a certain homebrew item called the Ring of the Grammarian. Have you ever heard of this?
That sounds homebrew as hell, so no.
It is homebrew as hell. But it's also hilarious, in a way. So how it works is it has one charge. It recovers one charge every 24 hours. And when you're casting a spell, you can expend the charge to change one of the letters in the spell that you're casting to give it a different effect.
Ooh.
For example, Create fear can become create bear. So it's only limited by your ability to play Scrabble, basically. And do
I have
crosswords.
so much fun with that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very fun chaotic spell, and that was another thing where me, Cathanglis, and Clocksworth, me, Cathanglis, and Sorter, on like a 6-hour Discord call, we're just talking constantly about what the fuck this could do and all the different ramifications. And we kept coming up with really weird things. The specific, by the way, is you can either change one letter, add one letter, or remove one letter.
Ooh, adding a letter.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So what's all the thing? What can you think of spell-wise that you would want to try and make? And I'll let you know what I would probably make it do. I will say, by the way, the effects are not always consistent. They're up to the DM's interpretation, but they're usually pretty much what it says it's going to do. Like summon, if you say conjure bear instead of conjure fear, there's going to be a bear that appears in some form, regardless of how I'm feeling that day.
I could probably change like a lettering command, and I don't know. I'd have to think about it. The applications are situational.
Oh yeah, this is a prompt for. I was just basically telling you that so that you can go look and then just think about it while we're on stream.
Oh, I'm thinking on it. That's right. I got access to the spell command, and well, I've been taking a lot of inspiration on the usage of the command spell from another table.
Yeah. And what table is that?
The one from Critical Role itself.
Okay.
You cast command. You cast command. What do you want them to do? I command ye to fat.
I command you to what?
To fat.
What's fat?
FAP.
Oh.
Yeah.
You commanding them to shit? What? I don't know. It's hard for me to understand what you're saying, but either way, it sounds interesting.
Oh, it is interesting.
You could type it out. I've seen a lot of creative uses for the command spell. Some of which I've been okay with, some of which were like stretching it a little bit, but I allowed it in the moment. I don't know. Not many people have actually. I don't think anyone has used command spell in this campaign currently. Maybe once, but
you're about to see a lot of usages out of it.
Okay.
Especially with that command.
No. I mean, yes, but also no. Because, okay, I've said this before. So, in my campaign, we all acknowledge that pretty much every city has a red light district, and that stuff like this does go on. Do I show it on camera or talk about it on camera? No. Because I'm on streams, and I can't do that sort of content on streams. So, while yes, you can do this in the command word, can I show that on a stream? No.
That's alright then. I'll just have them shit themselves on command, because that'll be funnier.
Right. Like, if you do fat, it might make them go off screen, or like we do, like, oh hey, and we're gonna now skip like 5 minutes while they're doing this. That sort of thing.
And get dogged on, just jump by the party because they're doing it.
Right.
Command is funny depending on the creativity of the user casting command.
Yeah, and I tend to be a DM that's very much like, go for it, it's fine. When it comes to a lot of this stuff.
I like to be full of cool.
Yeah.
The Will of Cool will always be a thing at my tables, if I ever have an option to that.
For my tables, I tend to allow things of either one, they're really good in the moment, which is Will of Cool in that case, or two, they make perfect sense, or they make a lot of sense. The only caveat is I don't want it to be actively disrupting to the other players at the table. That's the only caveat to that.
Oh, well, everybody wants to get their turn. That's all we can do.
To be fair, you haven't really ever said anything that was actively disrupting to the other people at the table when it came to your actual homebrew rules. Not homebrew rules, but like your actual ideas that you've had.
No, I try not to get like that because being part of it and all, but I try to make sure everybody gets their edge and their word to the wise.
Right, and you're pretty good about that.
Party seems to like me enough, so that's all the validation I need.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the most talked about players of both timelines.
Hey!
Yeah.
Hope it's all good things.
Most of them are.
Uh-oh, most. That means I've got bad things being spoken about. Who needs these answering? Who's Spartans are good for this?
Okay, it depends on what you. It depends on what you consider to be bad. There's a lot of memes about you that's also talked about.
Oh, I like memes. I need to see more of them. Bring them on.
In particular, one that I know that a few people, I know that Cathanglis likes to bring up a lot is the whole "my money" thing that you've done before.
Don't care. I'm rich.
I know, but like when your money was just thrown down a pit, if I remember correctly, at one point.
My money.
Yeah, that's been memed on a lot. Then again, most of the memes about you put up yourself.
Almost every shit posted when you want from me.
Yeah, you are definitely the person who is involved in the most memes in the both campaigns, which is good in its own right.
My money.
Right. Just, I mean, it's kind of funny because with me, the top 3 people I talk about the most when I talk about D&D things are Cathanglis, and then you and Surtur in equal measure. Like, first is Cathanglis, and then like you and Surtur are tied for 2 and 3, and I can't tell which is actually higher between Thorun and Clockwork. Like, I talk about you guys a lot because whenever I'm bringing up something like, why should we do this with this organization way? I'm like, because Thorun needs to understand it this way, or because Surtur would point out this if I didn't do it, or There's a lot of things where I do them specifically because certain players are in my campaign.
See, Thorun is not everybody's favorite tradition of the war. I just worry about my money, don't pay taxes, and drink a lot of beer.
Right. And this is not meant in a disrespectful way, by the way. I like that. I like the fact that there's kind of constraints I have to work with. But yeah. Oh. So, since you're on Roll20, can I actually ask you a favor?
That depends on the nature of the favor, that Buckaroo Banzai.
The nature of the favor is I'm currently reorganizing things. So you see where the characters folder is?
Uh-huh.
All the notes above the characters folder are what I like to call the big notes that have a bunch of other things in them. I'd like you to look through them and tell me if it's intuitive how to navigate them.
Well, multi-class and go.
Like, give me your first impressions based off of them. Keep in mind, any purple links that you see, you can click on.
I won't need that. I mean, they're pretty straightforward. I don't see any issue.
Yeah. For example, it's like, if I want cleric spells. Okay, so I go to spells. And then you just click cleric spells. And then, oh, hey, here's all the cleric spells. And I just click, oh, what's Conjure Caltrops? Just click that. And then, boom, you're in the sheet of Conjure Caltrops.
Yeah, a lot of this is pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah,
Speaking about something...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking about notes, I was reading through some of the outside resources, and it mentioned something about the tavern and how I'm running it. I was actually talking with Virgo on a while back, and I don't think anybody truly could sit there and manage it the way I do.
Potentially, yeah. I can't really think of anyone who is managing the thing. I mean, Zopra is not even really managing his own business anymore. He's kind of abandoned it.
No, I will never abandon the tavern. Why do you think I made it so self-autonomous? So that way, if I had to leave it, I
Right.
wasn't without,
Why do you think I gave you guys permanent access to that? Because it's basically become your home base.
Yes. And once I get access to Spelljammer equipment, I'm going to make it fly.
Right. At some point, yeah. And like that's home base for you guys. The home base for the other people are now the airship, but like, still, I try to make it so that, especially if there's multiple timelines, that the home bases are someplace you can always go back to. I try to do that in D&D because it doesn't matter what sort of adventure you go on, people need a home base they can recoup at. And for most D&D campaigns, people go like, oh, the local inn or whatever. I'm like, I would prefer to have one central location that is always the same when they come back, rather than whatever the local inn happens to be. You know what I mean?
I see. I vibe with the whole local inn thing only because it's like most adventurers don't have a place to go. Not unless it's rewarded to them by a quest or they somehow come across enough money to do it. And they normally don't. They're kind of just wandering, for a lack of a better term, hobos.
Right. Now, for you guys, thankfully, Silvestro is benevolent and also a Deus Ex Machina, so he allows a lot of shenanigans to happen in these regards. Yeah, with the doorway stuff. Oh, when you get 4th level of Cleric, by the way, there's a certain feat I know you in particular will want to look up. If you go to feats, it's near the bottom of the feats note, and I know you're going to recognize it immediately.
Demolition expert.
Yes. I saw that and I'm like, yeah, no, this is something Thorun wants. I can tell.
Watch him go from totally sane and proud and noble dwarf to just becoming a mad bomb.
Alright. By the way, when it's talking about level in here, it talks about your total level, not a particular class level. So in this case, your total level would be 9, and when you're Cleric 4, it would become 10. Meaning, potentially when you reach level 11 total, you could make grenades. Which, these aren't like Link-style bombs. These are more like more modern-style grenades when they talk about grenades. Or an equivalent to. So,
I've always liked the idea of grenades in D&D, but I've tried to keep them and relegate them more to the fantasy side, so it's more like magic grenades instead of just straight shrapnel all over the place.
I'm one of the few DMs that's like, I don't mind there actually being non-magical technology, because why can't technology and magic coexist? Like, just because there's a magical solution to something doesn't mean that we shouldn't also develop a technological solution to something. I've ran campaigns in the modern setting that has all the high fantasy magic you can think of, but also just modern technology, like cars, that runs on non-magical fuel.
See, when I think of technology, I think of like Final Fantasy magic tech.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about when I talk about technology. I'm talking about, like, if you took, like, when I think of technology in D&D, I usually think of, like, telephones, running water, cars, modern weapons, like a rifle, for example. Those sorts of things. And yeah, no, there is Magitech. There is fusions between the two. But it doesn't have to be Magitech. After all, thaumaturgy exists, which is kind of what artificers do, is thaumaturgy.
I had the option.
Go
I had
ahead.
the option to take that spell, and I was just like, nah.
No, I wasn't talking about the spell thaumaturgy. I'm talking about the magical concept of thaumaturgy.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Do you ever watch a YouTuber called The Tail Foundry?
Yes, yes, I do.
He did a very good video explaining what thaumaturgy is. And I would advise watching it because it's the best breakdown of it I've seen on YouTube. And it's very much, to me, what artificing is, boiled down to its base components and removed from any setting. Like, if you look at the core of what is being an artificer when it comes to magic, it's thaumaturgy. Which, if you don't know what thaumaturgy is, I can give a base summary, but it doesn't do justice in this case. The base summary would be, what if you looked at magic as if it was a science? And then tried to make it have repeatable and understood effects similar to how science works.
It's magic with the scientific process.
Yeah, it's the perfect blending between magic and science, which is what, in my opinion, artificing is. Magic items, in a way, are thaumaturgical objects in terms of, like, you're forcing magic. You're not forcing magic, but you're coaxing magic to have repeated and known effects over time in a certain medium and being able to mass produce that. To me, it's fundamentally different than sorcery spells or wizard spells. Like, artificers have regular magic, but then they also have magic items, which is an inherently different thing. And to me, like, if thaumaturgy exists, then regular science would also exist. Like, if you understand something to the point where it's no longer even magical and you can make it with non-magical means, why wouldn't you in the situations where you can't use magic, like the spell plague that happened in the past, for example, with the Netherese?
Oh, don't even get me started with the spell plague and the Netherese Empire. Oh.
Yeah, Thars's Avatar. That's a thing that's actually canon to Kishwaka.
And nobody can use because nobody can access 10th level spells or higher unless you have Elven High Magic.
Right. Even Elven High Magic doesn't let you cast leveled spells higher than that. Elven High Magic just works in a different way. Because it's all based on rituals rather than actual leveled spells. It can replicate a lot of the effects of higher spells, but yeah. But what I was going to say is that you can still cast higher than 9th level spells, provided you have permission from the correct gods. Mystra being one of them, but she's not the only one in my campaign setting. Yukari is another one that can give you permission to do that. Because, as I actually have told you before, Yukari technically has more authority over magic than Mystra does. In my campaign setting, anyway.
Alright, I'm gonna have to find a book on Quartus' Avatar.
Sorry, you saying you're dipping out or something?
No, I said that's it. I'm gonna have to find me a book of Quartus' Avatar.
That particular spell is not something Yukari would ever let you cast.
Provided she's aware of what the spell does.
She is.
I'll have to find a way around this. I must kill God.
I mean, you could kill God. There is ways to do that. I mean, Jacqueline Dagger exists. You know, Sokurai used it against Lion Fang. But,
speaking of the Netherese Empire, I'm kind of hoping we bump into the remains or the ruins of the Netherese Empire. Never know what you could find in those things.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Netherese never actually existed on the world of Kishwaka itself. Its events did affect the world of Kishwaka, and it has been known about in the world of Kishwaka. Because of freaking not
That's just an avatar.
because it's spelljammers. That's what I was trying to think. It's spelljammers and travelers from other worlds telling them about the plague and fall of the Nether Eve. Which you guys haven't even found the sky ports yet, but yeah, there is actually ports where you can meet people from like Eberron or people from the Forgotten Realms or whatever. They're from entirely different campaign settings. In fact, once I get the Strahd books, I am planning on certain NPCs visiting from the Strahd setting into the Strixhaven campaign. Now, will that include Strahd himself? I don't know.
Hold on a minute. Nobody's allowed to enter or leave the lanterns of Barovia without Strahd's express permission. And the only group I know that can do that at will and freely are the Vistani.
So it leads you to wonder, like, is Strahd sanctioning this?
I swear to God, if Strahd leaves the lands of Barovia, the plains of Dread will fall apart on that land itself.
Right.
He cannot leave.
It's all. I'll have to read more into the Strahd book because I don't fully know all the lore there. So.
It's part of the plains of Dread, and he's technically the lord of that plane.
Right.
It's a whole thing. You'll have to read the books.
Yeah. It's reminding me similar to the Raven Queen, a character I'm not a big fan of. Which, I'm not a big fan of it in canon and out of canon. As in, like, I myself am not a big fan of her, and Finreal in canon is not a big fan of her because of what she did to the Shadowfell.
No, well, she's the Raven Queen for a region.
Right.
And there's a reason why a few people have her on speed dial.
There is a reason why. I know Finreal in the past has tried to drive her out of the Shadowfell multiple times, and usually with only minor success.
Yeah, no. The Raven Queen's powerful.
And the only reason why he's even able to get any sort of success is because Finreal is a shadow primordial. Meaning, it's the Shadowfell is almost largely his domain as a result, because all shadows originally came from Finreal in my campaign setting. Which means most of Shad's abilities are actually, most of Shad's, like, shadow abilities are actually coming pretty much directly from Finn, but, like, not directly, but indirectly, because of the fact that he was the origin of Shadow. Which means, technically, she kind of took over his place, and he didn't like that.
I need the Raven Queen on speed dial.
I mean, I don't have her cell phone number, so.
I mean, if anything would have happened to Thor, he'd be like, "Hey, Raven Queen, yeah, it's your boy. I need out of here."
Alright. I mean, I thought you would have, like, cleric spells for that. Also, what about Moradin? Would you rather have, like, are you trusting the Raven Queen more than Moradin now?
Moradin can't get me out of every single situation. The Raven Queen could.
Debatable. As to whether or not the Raven Queen could get you out of every situation. But yeah. I'm not going to have an argument about it. It doesn't matter. It's all hypothetical.
I just like the Raven Queen. That's just a me thing.
Yeah. And I just dislike the Raven Queen. That's just a me thing.
Okay, what the? Can't wait to see how the tavern's doing when I get back. I mean, shit, it's gotta have been some time by now.
Most likely. I'm sure you'll get back at some point. The question is, how many, like, weeks do you spend in this dungeon? Just lost.
We're probably spending at least a week's worth of time down there.
Yep. Oh, which, by the way, you guys should keep track of time while you're down there. Because if you pull the, hey, Dungeon Master, how long have we been down here? I'll just say, good question. How long have you been down here? Do you even know?
I know we've only been down there for a day.
So far, yes. But I'm just saying, as time goes on and you're in here for longer, that's something you can keep track of. Otherwise, your characters might actually not know and then lose track of all time.
Good thing I'm keeping track.
Yeah, good thing you're keeping track. You know, given how much you keep track of things, I'm almost surprised Storeroom doesn't have the keen mind feed. But I guess it makes sense because you haven't had an opportunity to pick up that feed.
This is true. This is true, duh.
Forgot that sticks of dynamite in my campaign. Like, honest to God, dynamite.
I also tend to forget just how diabolical Thorin can get.
Yes. I don't forget that. I know that. I've seen you in some of your drunken ramblings before. I fully understand how over-the-top diabolical you can get. The blunderbuss is a big example of that.
Hey man, I just needed something that goes boom and can blind something, or poison them, or I don't know, set them on fire or something. Just click, boom.
Well, as I said before, a lot of the effects that you want can be achieved with poisons rather than the actual magic item. And then for some of them, like, you could put like a flame tongue enchantment on them. Or whatever. But yeah. No, I get what you mean. And yeah, the magical ammo is what you were doing, if I remember correctly. Well, actually, sorry. The magical ammo is what Cathanglis made for you, if I remember, which is why you're dead. I forgot about that.
So much.
Yeah.
He also went overboard in my defense.
Yeah. I mean, you did go overboard with everything you asked for, and you didn't expect him to deliver everything.
No, I was not expecting a delivery on everything.
Yep, which he did.
That surprised me. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, you have 37,000 gold pieces worth of debt. And I'm just like, you what?
Yeah. He had to empty a good bit of his hoard for that one.
Huh? What? Okay, come on you.
Which, I mean, to be fair, Cathanglis has gained quite a bit more money at this point from that. So.
Then he don't need mine.
He's still gonna ask for it. Because he is a dragon and he does want his money. Don't forget though, he is also he is specifically a moonstone and astral dragon, so if you know anything about those creatures, you could use some of that as leverage, potentially. In particular, moonstones are known for wanting to hoard knowledge. So.
Born on the ground, deep inside the mountains, too. There's his knowledge. We'll be finding some ancient knowledge or some shit down here. Don't think I'm not leaving with some books, too. I need to know what's going on down here.
Right, and you'll come across books, I'm sure.
The secret of my people will be known to me, anyways.
I'm looking forward to that dungeon because it's been a while since I've done an honest to God dungeon. And I don't put a set time limit on how long I want dungeons to last, by the way. It lasts however long it lasts. It's like anything else in my campaign.
Yeah, we definitely need to find our way out.
Yeah. Or
I'm starting to want.
Or just venturing deeper into the dungeon.
No, we gotta find our way out.
Why? You barely even scratched the surface of it.
Sir, we are at room 133 and we started off at room 1 and 2.
You started off at room 114, actually.
We are lost.
Yeah, you're actually pretty much clear on the other side of the map compared to where you were before. You're like, not as far away as you possibly could be, but you're a good bit away from where you originally started, and who knows how many times the dungeon's going to warp you again. I'm going to laugh if you find the stairs down before finding the stairs up.
Oh, man.
Also, I will point out, one of the things that the dungeon can do is warp you between floors, where it can actually warp you further down. Or up, potentially.
No. No. No, 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 no. Wait.
This place is... Yeah, it's
evil.
It is. I mean, to be fair, all the warning signs were there going in that, yes, this place is evil. And also, it's important to know, you're not just there to get treasure. If you remember, Ragnachild's also there, duty-bound by nature, to purify the place.
She was going to fight me for that coin, too. She was really ready to fight me for it. I was going to be like, you're about to die down here.
Right, but she wasn't fighting for the claim. She's just claiming that, like, what you were doing was cursed treasure, a la Pirates of the Caribbean. Which, to be fair, it kind of was, but the curse is gone now.
Oh, no.
No. I will go ahead and tell you, since it doesn't matter anymore, if you had taken that treasure out of the mine, there might be a good chance that while you're walking in sunlight, you became a skeleton. Like a walking skeleton. Like a la Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, no.
But, thankfully, because of her current new crystal thingy and her cleric subclass, she can purify that curse away. So you don't need to worry about that now.
Thank you, Combat Granny.
Yeah. In particular, the vile energies of this place just kind of break down within 5 feet of her. Which will have an interesting effect. And do you know what that is?
That it might disarm some of the magical events that are going on in here, like the thing.
It might. However, it might also cause another instance where all of you guys are affected by the effect, but she isn't. Which might lead to a situation where you guys all get warped one place, but she's left behind back in the previous room that she was in.
Oh, fuck.
So, it might inadvertently split the party. I'll talk with her about that, though, whether or not she wants that to be a thing. Whenever she has time.
No. Wait.
Alright. Maybe you guys should have prepared some sending stones in case, like beforehand, in case you got separated.
I still have Garthax's sending stone.
You do have Garthax's sending stone, yes.
I'm so glad I still have that.
Yeah. Thankfully, I forget if you thought to grab one or if he just gave it to you, but yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure he just gave it to me.
Yeah, okay. How far are we into the stream? We are about an hour and 43 minutes into the stream. Cool, we're making good headway.
I need to go get something to drink.
Yeah, go ahead and go get something to drink. That's a good time. Or I should take a small break, grab a drink, grab a snack, and we'll come back.
Yeah!
Yeah, I need to stretch my legs. Go. I haven't made my return. I have made my return. Oh, right, and Thorwin's needed. That's why he did. That makes sense. He's also likely still gone. Ugh. Oh, I can at least get the stream back going. Back to what I was doing.
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Hello.
Howdy.
So yeah, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just slowly going through all of the loose notes that are here, deleting the ones I don't need, organizing the ones I do need into one of the bigger notes that you see that you were looking at before, and just slowly getting through everything. For the character sheets, those have to be in a folder, but otherwise, yeah, these big notes are going to be how you're going to find everything in the future instead of folders. What's your thoughts about that?
Empty head, no thoughts.
Empty head, no thoughts. Got it. That's fine to me. Also, yeah, in my campaign, the Flame Tongue has been renamed to Elemental Blade because it's not just fire in my campaign. More specifically, you can make it for any kind of element. It's just the most common version is Flame Tongue. So that's kind of neat. Because it's a really good, simple, rare magic item. As a template. So I was like, why can't you just do it, but expand it to be able to hit multiple damage types instead of just fire? So I did. Maybe it'll be pretty much any damage type. Which I think not only adds more variety, it also just is a very neat thing.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. My dad's stomping around in the other room. Fireball is a similar way. You can have multiple versions of Fireball that do different damage types. Mm-hmm. For example, Chad has access to, thanks to his Storm Soul ability, Thunderball and Lightning Ball.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool thing. It's still only available to sorcerers and wizards by default, same as regular Fireball, but hey, it's a thing. That's still neat in its own way. And the reason why I did that is very simple, actually. The reason why I did that one is just because of the fact that Fireball is an overtuned spell. They've already talked about that. It's because it's a classic spell. If we're going to accept that Fireball exists and it's a bit overpowered of a spell for its tier, why don't we then just go, okay, we need more good spells of other damage types. Why don't we just take this template and apply it to X damage type? There's not much in the spell that inherently has to make it fire, other than the fact that it ignites targets. And that's flavor more than anything when it comes to how people actually use the spell. So yeah, I don't mind you making an acid ball, for example. If you want to be a person who focuses on acid and those sorts of things, go for it. You can just do an acid ball and just have third level, and it'd just be a nice third level spell that damages the same way Fireball would, except now it's with acid. Or if you want to be telekinetic, and then mind blast someone with a psychic ball, you could do that. Yeah. Psychic Ball is interesting because it's one of the few that wouldn't actually do damage to the environment, unlike other ones. Because most objects are immune to psychic damage.
Oh, my mind is running all over the place, and I can't focus. Yay, ADHD.
It's okay. I am talking slow as a result, and that way it should be easier.
What?
Elixir soup. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. Just slowly going through. And, yep. I'm also just battling because I battle.
Why not, right?
Yeah, it's a live stream. I'm supposed to be talking. That's the entire point of a live stream. Oh, also, a lot of the magic item notes that people couldn't see before because their characters didn't have knowledge of them, they're now visible. Just remember that what you know and what your character knows are not the same thing, and people will be fine. Because I realize the ult system doesn't work super well.
Are you worried I'm going to the game?
No, I'm not specifically talking about you. I'm talking about people in general. But I know that you're good about metagaming, and I brought you up as an example because I know you don't do that. You don't metagame.
I try not to. Sometimes it's hard to remove that knowledge from yourself. Shit, I know it's there, but I can't use it. It's
Right. Well, it's not about removing the knowledge from yourself. It's about remembering that Thorun doesn't have the knowledge.
Which is a little hard sometimes. It's kind of removing the knowledge from you and the kid. It's a whole thing. I do the best I can, though.
Yeah, and you do well with it. I haven't seen that many slip-ups from it, so...
Oh, no. I just came up with a pretty nasty idea for this dungeon.
Oh.
Now that I have a resistance to fire, somebody just casts wall of fire, I can run right through it like a fireman.
Yeah, like Guts from Berserk.
Just run right through the wall of fire and just start slaying people down.
I know that if Thorun ever gets his hands cut off, he's going to try and replace it with a cannon like from Guts Berserk.
Yes, that's exactly what he's going to try and do.
Right.
Put a prosthetic hand down that attaches into a cannon, just to...
Right.
Like, oh, I want that, right?
Yeah. Oh. I'm wondering what. So okay. Do you want a hint as to what's actually at the bottom of this dungeon?
Yeah, why not?
I will tell you, there is an artifact at the bottom of this dungeon. I won't tell you which one.
Oh, I don't even care which artifact. The fact that it's a fucking artifact makes it all the more worth it.
Yeah, there's an artifact here, if you can eventually find it. As for which one it is, I haven't decided yet, actually.
It doesn't matter which artifact it is. We bring that to Carthage, everything else is going to be nothing to him.
True, but then there's also the aspect of like, what if you just want to keep the artifact?
And that takes up 30% of what we find.
Yeah, it depends. There's a lot I can actually choose from, by the way, because it's not just all the vanilla artifacts. There's also a lot of homebrew ones that were, well, no, okay, not a lot, but like there's more than you'd think of homebrew ones. In particular, there's one I'm currently looking at on screen for people that's watching the stream that I'm very much debating on. But you don't know about it because you're not looking at the stream, which is fine.
No,
You know,
I'm trying. One of those try not to metagame because if I have the information that's personally driven, subconsciously to go down and get it.
Yeah. I will say. So, you know what? Since you're here, we can go ahead and say this. So, remember how you're trying to contact Morden?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that he does give you a certain dream when you're in your long rest. Like he gives you a specific dream about this place that you're in, and he just gives you a hint of all of the fabulous treasures that are in this place, as well as some of the events that have happened here, and the thing at the priceless object at the bottom of this cursed place. But all of its vague images that Thorin doesn't remember well when waking up. But he gets the vague implication that this place is, 1, full of riches, 2, there's something very important at the bottom of it, and 3, this place should be wiped from the map.
Oh, don't worry, we'll work on that.
So, do you think that's fair? Do you think that's something Morden would do?
That sounds something like he would do. No, knowing that I'm down here trying to reach out to him, knowing I can't do that, I have a feeling he would at least, in the sense of premonitions, enacting his will kind of ordeal. That sounds about right.
Right, and I've already canonically said that Finrill's watching you guys currently.
On a CCTV by the gods.
I think he can afford something better than CCTV. Come on. But yeah.
Are you telling me he's using some sort of nether put in plasma magic screen TV?
Because he does have access to a certain elven spell. There's elven ritual high magic thing that can make like a large clear screen that's stronger than any metal. And so, yeah, there's certain, and this is canonical, by the way. You can go look at the Ritual High Magic book, which I think is in Outside Resources I put in there. But, let me get you an image of what this looks like. Elven High Magic Screen. Glass. Let me look at glass, actually. Really? It's not showing up here?
Regardless of what's down here, we're going to need another backup.
Oh. Elven High Magic is being added into the campaign, by the way, because there is actually someone who currently knows how to cast Elven High Magic's rituals. Or at least he has been getting trained in it by Yukari for some reason. That's her idea. So it's officially being added. Yeah. Here we go. Here's the source.
Only person I know in our party that has no option to do so would be our own ranger, because he's an elf.
Yeah, and Guildfly is not someone who has the penchant for Elven High Magic. For 2 reasons. 1, lacking the patience, and 2, lacking the understanding.
He's slowly starting to be willing to take on the magic capabilities.
Yeah.
And since he's made that clear to me, I've been kind of trying to ease him into some basic magic before going into the more advanced stuff. It's like, all right, you want magic? Try this first.
All right. So... in that book I sent you, on page 126, I'm also going to send you a screenshot of this thing directly, there is this Elven High ritual. And if you could, I would like you to read it out for the stream. Once it eventually sends. Why the fuck does it take you so long to send?
Any flip. Is this it?
No, that is the link to the book, but I was going to send you a screenshot of the thing.
PDF file. Empire of the Elves. That's a first edition book. Holy hell.
It's a second edition book, actually.
Oh, okay, my apologies. First edition
It's
and
still an
second
old book,
edition,
yes.
just the artwork.
Okay,
Yeah.
the screenshot was sent. It got sent
Someone
twice.
feels conjure scream. Common magic with myth John. This high magic creates windows and magical energy stronger than glass. If the area in which such a field is set is bounded by physical walls, it can be placed anywhere. Oh. So basically just a magic TV.
It could be a magic TV, but this is also in the High Mage's Tower. This is what all their windows are made out of. Which is why you can't just throw a rock through the window to get into the tower in most cases.
I'll figure something out.
Right.
Damn elves can't keep me out of their forest so long. I'm gonna burn that shit down.
So yeah, Finreal uses this spell in a lot of his stuff in his workshop, but in particular, he uses this as a form of TV by using this and the spell Major Image, if you know what that is.
It sounds like a high tier. Sounds like a high tier illusion spell. Major Image.
It kind of is. It's only a 3rd level version now. Major Image says you create the image of an object or creature. Actually, let me just send you a screenshot of this. I don't need to read it out. I think you would understand it better if you could read it. And yeah, you could totally use Major Image for TV, especially if you have the ability to spam it. Which dots in D&D do.
Major Image. Why is this with Warlock Wizard? Sounds right. That's a pretty neat spell.
Yeah. You could see how this could be used to make a magical TV if you had a good piece of glass.
And I chloric.
Yeah. I always find it interesting it's called Major Image when it's the stronger version of Minor Illusion. Why don't they just call it Major Illusion? But I don't get it. It's whatever. The reference material. Oh. Wrong thing. Or weapon armor. Is there anything else you're curious about while you're
here? No, not really. I mean, I'm just kind of here to hang out, vibe, talk D&D.
That's fine. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying talking because I prefer doing these streams to someone to talk to. Ooh, doo, doo, doo. Oh, there will also be a new note available for people to reference that wasn't available before. In particular, something you brought up recently, and that is faction notes, aka the ability to see what factions give you for certain ranks.
Ooh.
Yep. If you go to useful information, you'll see a new thing there called faction notes.
I need to get a higher standing within my faction, despite my displeasures with it sometimes. Be a rat.
Oh wait, I think I know what I'm actually going to put at the bottom of that dungeon. Okay, I just
Oh
have an
no.
idea.
Oh, it can't be the tax man.
It's not the tax man. I meant in terms of the reward at the bottom of the dungeon, and the tax man
Is
is
it no
not the
tax
reward.
returns? Oh wait, it can't be my tax return, so I don't give her a damn goddamn taste.
Yeah, you don't have tax returns to give. No, it's something. Oh, because remember, I said it was going to be some kind of artifact, and so I was trying to think like which one, and I happened to come across something when I was talking about the faction notes. I was like, ooh, that could be it. That would be actually really interesting if you guys got a hold of that. Huh. That's very intriguing. I like that idea. I think I might go with that. Of course, I'm being vague, so you don't know the specifics, but...
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, also, by the way, don't think that the normal loot table rules are out of the question. I will still occasionally roll on the loot table for picking loot. I'm just also, when I'm feeling lazy, using a lot of loot the game already, like, the dungeon creator already says it's there. But if, for example, you find a hole in the wall that isn't in my normal dungeon, and there's a treasure room there, I'll have to generate that treasure. Because it doesn't normally exist there. So.
Like I said, I'm going to be investigating every single wall and every single... Literally, stone cutting.
Right. I figured that you would. Which is why, if you noticed, when you entered that room that I knew had a hidden door, I immediately had you make a, I forget if it was investigation or perception, one of the two. But I had everyone make one of those, with you having advantage. It was a high roll, but you still made it.
Hell yeah, you can't fool these dwarf eyes. These greedy little eyes need gold.
Right. Which is funny, because you don't actually have the one spell that actually lets you see gold better. Or rather, you do have... it's funny that you almost have an effect of a similar magic item. Go look up in my notes, rare magic items, Dragon Eye Goggles. Because you're going to laugh when you see what Dragon Eye Goggles do, given what you just said.
I need more. Where are they again?
Items, rare magic items, Dragon Eye Goggles.
Rare magic items. Dragon Eye Goggles. One of the item rare. Dragon Eye Goggles are created with when the more common dog fishing goggles are affected by the constant magical presence of a nearby dragon, generally being in a dragon sword for a prolonged period of time. If you already possess dog vision, then increases it by another 60 feet. Additionally, you see darkness as if it were bright light, not dim light. When wearing these goggles, you have advantage of every trick made to find coins of a blend of gold, precious metals, and gems. I think I need new goggles. I think I need a pair of these goggles.
Right? That's why I was like, huh,
Uh,
wait, everything you're talking about, this is a magic item. Which one was it?
I need one of these goggles that
Yeah. Well,
goes around, baby.
Arfax may have some. He does have a dragon horde. You might be able to broker a trade when you come back.
Might be able to shift them the artifact if we find it.
Are you really willing to just trade an artifact for a rare magic item?
Um, Given the strength of an artifact and depending on the artifact, it may ultimately just be better to not have it on.
I will say, by the way, this is on the list of items that just can't straight be crafted because it specifically says it has to be in a dragon horde for a long enough amount of time. So, like, you can craft the dark vision goggles, or whatever they are, the goggles of night, but then you still need to stuff them into a dragon horde and let them stay there for long. Which,
So that's, can I stick these goggles in your wards length of time?
yeah, Silvestro has said before that for a fee, he will let people store items into his horde to power them up with these certain things. For a small fee.
Oh, of course, he's a dragon. What,
Yeah.
what else does a dragon want? Not
The
that
fee
they
is cheap,
use it, but
though.
they want.
The fee is cheap, though. It's only 1 gold piece per day.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. As for how long it would take, it depends on a couple of factors. One, the rarity of the item, and two, the power of the dragon. In this case, for a rare magic item, if you stuck that in Sylvester's horde, it would probably take a month of just sitting in Sylvester's horde for it to become Dragon Eye goggles. Which
So about 35 gold pieces, which 30 of that is for the month, and then the 5 is to make it sit there for a little longer to make sure it does.
yeah, you could very easily, and yeah, if you just did that, they could just sit there for like a month and 5 days, and then you come back, and then oh hey, you got these new fancy goggles now, you know. And unlike something like some of the other items, these just kind of stay that way. They don't have to actually recharge again. I'll be right back. I have to go back.
Born underground, deep inside the mountains.
I'm back.
No, you're not.
Oh, did I miss anything while I was gone?
No.
Okay. Yep. No one's talked in chat. I didn't figure they would. How long have we been streaming? 2 hours and 22 minutes. Yep. To be fair, this is what I would be doing if I wasn't streaming anyway, so. Okay. A ring that is shaped like a hollowed out dragon claw that fits snugly through your index finger. While wearing it, you can once per day cast polymorph on yourself. Wait. You may once per day cast polymorph on yourself to turn either into a young red dragon or a young gold dragon. A new character can choose which to transform into. Ah, right. It's based on alignment. I'm debating between this being either a rare magic item or a very rare magic item. I can't quite tell which I would do. You want to weigh in on this, Thorun? I just sent you a screenshot of it. Does that feel rare or very rare to you?
I'm having a look right now. Ooh. Ooh, that sounds like a very rare. Just given what it allows you to do. Yeah, I'm going to say that's a very rare.
Yeah. Okay. Very rare works.
I mean, given the nature of the artifact in question and what it can do, it has a lot of application.
Alright, it turns you into a young dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it does kind of suck a little bit that it's tied to your alignment, but at least both of the dragons it can turn you into are fire. So...
I mean, shit, a particularly smart player that got their hands on this ring couldn't completely subjugate a town, regardless of the dragon type, into getting all of its gold.
Completely subjugate a what? Oh, subjugate
an entire
town. Yeah. They can just pull a full
Jump.
Skyrim on it.
Yeah, just kind of go old and lean on it until they give you all the money.
Also, you were talking about dragon parts. There's actually one kind of cool item that I could see Thorun making for himself if he ever got his hands on a dragon skull.
Ooh.
And that is this, which is the Dragon Slayer's shield. I just sent you a screenshot of it.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that first effect. Right, vulnerability, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah. It goes to show one of the things that you can do with a dragon's head. I also like the whole shatter scales event. That's very effect. That's very flavorful. I believe this would be very squarely, very rare. Like, I can't see Dragon Slayer's shield being anything other than very rare. The only thing it doesn't have going for it is it's not a +1 shield. But it does give you a lot of other benefits. do envision an alternate timeline where Thorun just became a dragon hunter, given how much he enjoys the concept of hunting big things like dragons. And just he was an ally of Lion Fang as a result. Which that's still potentially on the table if you ever want to go through the process to become like Shadow is.
See, the thing is that Thorun isn't doing it out of some sense of justice or whatever. He's doing it out of, I need components, and that dragon happens to be big enough to fill the line.
Yeah, Lion Fang doesn't care why you want to slay dragons. He'll just give you the means if you pass the trials. Yeah. It will mean you will become a half dragon, half dwarf, which is something you'll have to consider.
No.
Yeah, because, believe it or not, Shadow was not originally a half dragon. After he passed his trial, he was forcibly turned into a half dragon by Lion Fang. He kept half of his original race, but he was also half dragon. And specifically, he was half of the dragon that he killed as part of the thing. So, in his case, it was a black dragon that he killed. So that's why he's wearing black armor and black dragon parts and stuff.
Black dragons are particularly evil.
I mean, most chromatic dragons are, but yeah.
The black ones are usually the most cruel of them all. Next to the red ones, of course. Well, red dragons are above all else.
Wasn't that black? I thought that was white dragons that were the cruelest. I forget. Let me actually go check.
Yeah, please do, because now I want to know.
Because I know they're all evil, but like... Okay, so... Black dragons.
It's a progression of evil depending on the type.
Alright. The most evil-tempered and vile the chromatic dragons. Black dragons collect the wreckage and treasures of fallen people. These dragons loathe and seek the weak and prosper and the rebel of the collapse of human kingdoms. They make their homes in fetid swamps and crumbling ruins where kingdoms once stood. Okay, if that's a pretty good argument, let me go look at white dragons. Because I remember they're also pretty bad. Not chromatic.
Hopefully we do a dragon battle at some point. We come into town, they're like, help us, there's a dragon! Like, don't mind, we'll get him, and then we all die.
White dragons, the smallest, least intelligent, and most animalistic of the chromatic dragons. White dragons dwell in frigid climates, favoring Arctic areas or icy mountains. They are vicious, cruel reptiles driven by hunger and greed. Okay, so black dragons know what they're doing. White dragons are just basically animals.
Which means black dragons are the worst because they know what they're doing and I can't blame a bear for being a bear, nor can I blame a dragon with subpar intelligence for being a dragon.
True. That did lead to a weird question pop in my head, though, of can you blame a druid for being a bear?
Yeah, but the thing is, when a druid wild shape, it doesn't lose its intelligence, it just takes the shape of that creature.
I know, that's my point. So if a druid wild shaped into a bear didn't lose its intelligence, but is now acting like a bear, can you blame them for acting like a bear?
I guess it depends on the actions they take as a bear.
Well, I mean typical bear things like hunting animals, eating them, that sort of stuff. Like what typically bears would do.
For that. Blame a druid for being a bear if it was acting like a bear, but if a druid should change into a bear to maul people, then yeah, I think I could.
Okay. It's just an interesting little D&D moral question.
Almost sounds like an Occam's razor type ordeal.
Yeah. Or a Theseus is shit type of deal, where at what point is it no longer, it's like, at one point does the druid stop and the bear begin? I have wanted to make that character at one point, by the way. The character that was like, they were a druid, but they weren't a elf that wild shaped into a bear. They were a bear that wild shaped into an elf. And like, they're a bear that's a druid, but they can also wild shape into people.
Nope. That sounds like some Feywild magic. I am not fucking with that ancient Fey shit. You stay over there with that shit.
I mean, a lot of druid stuff is Feywild magic, but yeah.
See, it's okay when combat granny changes into a bear, but if a bear changes into combat granny,
one of the effects I added into the dungeon thing, by the way, is an effect where you guys have to make a con save, and if you fail the con save, then you lose all of your memories for like an hour or two, and don't even know who yourselves are or who each other are.
oh no.
Where it's like,
no.
Thorun not only forgets his name is Thorun, forgets who he's with, but also forgets what's a dwarf.
What is air?
Yeah. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
They don't hurt me. Don't
No
hurt
more.
me. No more.
That reminds me. You ever watch Death Battle?
Oh yeah, of course. I think. Well, don't get me wrong. I think Death Battles may be a little biased in some of their fights, but when the fights make sense, they really go hard.
Did you see the one between Shadow and Mewtwo?
No, because it doesn't make sense.
Okay, I won't spoil what happened during it, but I won't spoil a lot of it, but there was one scene that this does remind me of from the actual fight scene, which is where Shadow had gone Super Shadow, and then Mewtwo had wiped his mind, and Shadow just kind of looks around, he looks down and goes, "Oh my god, I'm glowing! Why am I glowing?"
What the hell is this?
And, yeah, like, just Shadow completely forgot what Super Shadow was, and just was screaming about why he's glowing golden all of a sudden. It's just so silly.
Nice. I'm just interested to find more treasure down here.
Oh, and because of
I'm
the
gonna tell you right
birthday,
now.
because of the birthday bash, it's also now a lot of freaking Legend of Zelda items in the campaign. So if you've ever played Breath of the Wild, a lot of those items are now in the campaign with rules. Just because of the birthday bash, and I was giving them out, but then I just have a lot of leftover ones I've never used. So I'm like, these are available to craft. These are available to craft.
Me personally, I'm just interested in the gems, the metals, the gold, typical dwarf things that would, generally interest the dwarves. Gems, coin, metals, precious metals.
Well, I'm also talking about this because you're someone who's interested in crafting things, rather than like what you can find.
Well, I like to mix of both. I like crafting, but if I can find things, and it's like, oh, well, I just want to thing as a craft.
Right, and I guess you're also not the main crafter of the actual timeline too, so there's also that too.
No, I mean I can help supplement when he's not around. Not my primary.
Grizzle's your guy. You can help Grizzle a lot, though. I know that you give him. You can help him in a lot of checks, if I remember correctly. Because remember, you got, I think, expertise in Arcana. Yeah, which has come up actually in the dungeon. There was an Arcana check that. Yeah. I find it funny that people ask, like, what's this crystal? I said, you guys can make an Arcana check DC 30, and no one even tried. I find it funny how no one in Timeline 2 even tried.
Oh, yeah, because that's a DC 30. But and luck.
I don't know.
Hell, even in the rule books, making a DC 30 is technically an impossible feat.
Not impossible.
Not impossible. Yeah, because DC 40 is impossible.
There is no DC for impossible. If it's impossible, there's no DC at all. It just can't be done.
No, you.
DC 30 is the highest the game normally goes to, yes. Which is why I said it that, as it's not impossible for you to actually know about it or be able to tell its properties by looking at it. But it's not actually impossible. It's just not impossible. That's why I was like, you could try. If one of you have like a plus double digits in Arcana and then roll enough, maybe you can do it.
I think I have that now, but normally I would not.
Plus 12, yeah. And heck, if depending on how far you guys venture into this dungeon, you might level up another time before you exit the dungeon, depending on how far you go into it and how often.
We're going deep. I don't want to be down here forever because obviously we have a story to get back to, and Carthax ain't gonna wait forever.
Yeah, he said he's gonna wait a week. He says he wants you guys to get back to him in a week.
Huh. Fair enough. Means we need to try and find our way out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could take us a week just to find the way out.
You do need to find your way out eventually, yes. To at least get back to him and tell him about the place, even if you don't want to abandon it just yet.
I mean, we do the Sending Stone, so I could tell him about what's going on.
You could tell him what's going on, or at least you could give him an indication based off of the 15-word limit, I think it is.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and just lump that into my my long rest, part of my short rest type deal, where I just take the time and be like, yeah, we found it, we're stuck down here, we're gonna work our way out.
Yeah. Go ahead and write me, when you have a chance between now and the next session, go ahead and write me your 15-word message that you want to send. Mm-hmm. Like, carefully think it out to try and jam-pack as much knowledge into there as you can. Or whatever. Because I don't want you to rush it. But, yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'll type it out now. I'm just trying to put it together and compact it enough so that way the most useful of information gets through versus all the useless shit that gets said.
Right. In particular, Sending Stone, if I remember correctly, can send a message. You can then receive a message, and then it can send one more, and then it can't be used for the rest of the day. If I remember correctly.
1, 2, 3. Okay. 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good.
Okay, now I got to do that. Well, it's 41 minutes. We're getting about to where the stream could end. I usually end after 3 to 4 hours.
I tried to jam-pack the most useful information into that.
Okay. Go ahead and look at this. Found dungeon. Inside. Lost. Find way out soon. May need more time. Unfathomably dangerous.
The most basic and only most useful information. And think of it as like a static radio, where the radio cuts in and out, and it just only brings in the most useful information necessary. That's what's happening.
Right. I think there is one piece that you're actually missing here. You didn't mention in here at all that the dungeon changes.
I was going to do that in the next message.
Okay, I thought you were going to do that in the initial one, because I could see, like, bound dungeon, inside, lost, dungeon changes, leave soon, may need more time, instead of find way out soon. Because you could put it into there. What do you think of that?
Go ahead and let me edit that real quick.
Maybe I could go ahead and just type that out.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that because I don't want to do anything to add anyone. Or ultimately, he could just pop back, what do you mean? And then he's just one message, wall shifting.
Here we go. I put bound dungeon, inside, lost, dungeon changing, seeking exit, may need more time, unfathomably dangerous. What do you think of that one?
That sounds way more up a Thorun's than the one I gave.
Yeah. Seeking exit. Because that way it doesn't say that you're going to find it soon. It just says, we're looking to try and exit. We're trying our best here.
They need more time.
Yeah. Now it makes more sense why you're asking for more time if you don't even know if you can do so soon. And, I will give you the results of what he responds back with once the actual session starts.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, you're going to get that done.
That's fun. I hope he doesn't sound fucking exacerbated with this group. I mean, I know he's already upset with us. Considerably so.
I already have an idea of what the message will be. Hold on, let me actually type this up, because I'm getting ideas.
What? Oh, I'm getting a response. Here it comes. Because there's no guarantee we're going to find our way out.
No guarantee anytime soon, yeah?
Yeah. Like I said, may need more time. Dungeon's changing. Shit's fucked. Everything sucks. I wonder what Carthag's gonna think when he sees or hears the word dungeon's changing. But he's got a greater version of the Sending Stone.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay.
Yeah, I imagine Carthage has like a greater version of Ascending, say more, but can only receive less. Which kind of forces the party to really think about the information they're sending to him versus what he can send back.
Alright. Let me just count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can technically do one more word. Does he need one more word, though?
It's a good question. Does he need another word? Because if not, then just send it. And I want him to be able to use the info until the session starts anyway.
Here we go. Here's his reply.
Oh.
Would you like to read that out loud for the people in the stream?
Shifting dungeon, need backup, can't wait forever. Perhaps Sylvester drunk treasures worth it. Reply back. Wait a minute, did that strong next than drinking?
He's asking a lot of questions, and yes, when he said drunk, he's referring to the Grognak, the drunk. which is what he calls him.
I guess I get one more. I guess I get one more 15-letter message, and I got to make this one really informative and straight to the point.
Right. Basically, he's asking you: is it a shifting dungeon? Do you need backup? He can't wait forever. Perhaps you could ask Silvestro or Grognak for help. Are the treasures even worth it in this place? And please answer back.
We'll start with the treasure first. Let's see. How do I answer this one? 15 words. I got a handful of, and I have to compile it in 15 words. Ooh, I have it. Horde. Dungeon Walls Gift. Can't wait for that to have Silvestro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's solid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not 10. 11. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, 10, 11. So I can 4 more words. What can I say here, or is there anything more to say? I got it. Dungeon roll shift randomly. I said if I had a little more in terms of shifting dungeon, he may understand a bit better. Or dungeon roll shift randomly, so that's what this means. Backup possibly required. So that puts me at 12 words. 3 more if I need it. Don't send drinks. Okay. No drunk. Dangerous. Yeah, no drunk dangerous. It's Sylvester's best option.
Mm-hmm.
That's 50.
Sylvester certainly has more means and resources.
That's why I said no drunk, dangerous.
Yeah. I can see if we're a smart ass response of drunk is dangerous.
No, what I'm saying is it's too dangerous for him to come in.
I know. I'm just talking. That's why I preface it with I can see that being a smart ass remark from Kerr. Thanks.
Drunk is dangerous, but I responded with the whole is the treasure worth it? And only one word. Horde.
Horde. Dungeon wall shift randomly. Sylvester best chance. Backup possibly required. No drunk. Dangerous. Okay.
Straight to the point. Answers all the questions.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm a little surprised he didn't describe anything more there. I guess that makes sense. He can't describe
anything more.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can't describe it anymore. And if you can't wait forever, there's no point in responding to that fact.
One moment. I actually have an interesting idea.
Which is why I said Silvestro possibly best chance.
Yeah. But I have an interesting idea, and I'm looking at this.
But then Silvestro gets his human form.
What?
So that Sylvester can change into his human form? If he even has one?
You don't know.
I
I'm
know,
currently
that's why I'm
looking at a
asking.
certain spell that Cortax may or may not have. Is what I'm looking at. I'm not actually looking at something related to Sylvester.
Worst comes to worst on the next short or long rest, I'll send Carfax another message. It'll say something potentially along the lines of wait until week time period if teleport spell use. Something
would
along
he
those
know?
lines.
Would he know this spell? It's a wizard spell, so probably not. I know Sylvester, but like, I don't think.
Wait a minute, couldn't Sylvester just technically open a dimensional door anywhere he pleases?
That's besides the point. He wouldn't do that, even if he could. Because he doesn't take that active of a role in things. I was debating whether or not Corthax has the spell telepathy.
Actually,
Which,
that sounds
while
like
you were
something a
talking
dragon
about
might have.
things a bunch, I was trying to think of this, whether or not he would have this spell.
And it sounds like something a dragon would have.
Except it's a
Dragon would
wizard
have.
exclusive spell, and Carthax is not a wizard. He is a sorcerer, not a wizard.
Meta magic adept.
That doesn't do anything in this case. How would that help?
Meta magic adept wizard.
Magic Adept gives you more sorcery points and more ability to do meta magic from sorcery.
Oh, okay. I'm understanding that one wrong. You know what, guys? Guys on YouTube, don't worry about me. I'm just a big dumb.
Hey, it's fine. I'm just, let me actually look at Carthax's classes, because it's been a while since I've looked at his class. NPCs, Carthax. What class levels did I give you? I gave you a bunch of feats. Are you Bard? Yeah, you're Bard. Corthax is a Bard sorcerer, in case you're wondering. He does have teleport. That's not. I don't think Corthax would want to teleport into that. No, I can't.
But doesn't that mean he could technically teleport us out since he knows where we are?
No, that's not how teleport works. How teleport works is that you can choose someone within 10 feet of you and teleport them to anywhere on the same plane of existence. It doesn't teleport people to you, it teleports you or people around you somewhere else. So that would require him teleporting into the dungeon and then teleporting you guys out, which is something he doesn't want to do. And if you're wondering why he doesn't want to do that, what guarantee does he have that some monster didn't just pick up the sending stone and send the messages claiming to be you?
That's a fair argument. Should have set up a code phrase so that way he knows it's us.
Right.
Shit.
And yeah, even with that, you're also just kind of mercs to him. He's not really that invested in you guys. I mean, he's invested in the treasure, but not necessarily in you guys. As for Grognak, Sylvester would be interesting. Because it depends on how Sylvester intervenes. I know Sylvester knows the telepathy spell. Meaning, this is going to be fun. So, do you know what this means?
Depends on what this is.
So, what this means is that over the course of the short rest, over the course of the long rest, you had done this communication with Carthax. So, when the next session starts, Carthax is going to go talk to Sylvestro. And then Sylvestro is likely to use... Well, he's likely to leave his horde and then use telepathy to contact you guys. The reason why he has to leave his horde first is because telepathy only works on the same plane of existence. And his horde is in a different plane of existence. It's in the Feywild.
That's fair.
But
But
this does
this
confirm
story
you're
can-
not in a pocket dimension, for what that's worth. Because if you were in the pocket dimension, the sending stones wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, as soon as he replied back, I knew we weren't.
I mean, granted, there's like technically it's like, oh, there's a 5% chance of it failing, but usually I just rule it as it just doesn't work if you're in a different plane. Is how I usually rule it.
It's a fair one.
It.
I'm just glad I was able to get a message out to let contacts know that there's dungeons ungodly dangerous.
I wonder if Thorun would actually think about the fact that he's not. I mean, has Thorun ever experienced other dimensions? Now that I think about it? Like, and been consciously aware of it?
I don't think you and I have ever actually sat down and discussed that, because that would go into his backstory, and that would require him to take on a particularly dangerous job during his time before the party.
I think the only time he's ever been in another dimension was in the Feywild, and the only time he's been in the Feywild is one instance in his backstory, and when he goes in Sylvester's lair, because Sylvester's lair is technically in the Feywild.
Yeah, but that's only a passing state. That's not like actually being there for any reason other than to pass through it.
Right, but the first time in his backstory, I will say I now have an idea for where Thorun's original hatred of the Feywild came from.
Adding down to the elves.
Not elf. No, I like to think that at one point he was fighting someone, and they just plane shifted him to the Feywild against his will, and he was stranded there for like 4 weeks, just in the forest, trying to figure out where the hell he is and how to get back home.
That's a month. That's a hell of an amount of time to be lost.
Yeah, so I like to think that the reason why Thorun very much dislikes the Feywild is because he got stranded there for 4 weeks, and he was not only grumpy the entire time, but because he was grumpy, there was a lot of fairies, like, taunting him about that fact, and then not to mention all the wild magic that just kept happening while he was there.
It just feels like Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events, but it's a Thorun in a series of unfortunate events.
Right. I mean, if you've seen Dragon Ball Super, you know Frieza's version of hell? Imagine that, but Thorun's there.
Oh god, no.
That's kind of what he was, except he wasn't trapped in a cocoon. He was just kind of wandering through that area trying to find his way home. Eventually, he managed to find his way home. Which actually does lead to an interesting little thing. You know what we could do now? We could actually tie this into Brizzle.
If Russo wants it to be that way, but...
Well, I just had an idea of, like, maybe the way he found his way home was he randomly stumbled across a bunch of Haringen, and a certain one took offense, found the dwarf funny, and decided to help bring him home. And that young Haringen later turned out to be the older Brizzle, who had completely forgotten about you until now. And I could see, like, the Haringen was just a little boy back then. But he's grown a lot older since then. I don't know. What do you think of that idea? I think that's a cool idea.
I'm cool with it. That ties at least two of the item creators in the party together.
Yeah, we'll talk about it with Brizzle before the next time. Remind me in case I forget. But yeah, that sounds like fun to me. So you know what? Brizzle's online. Let me actually message him. Into your backstory. I just asked him the question, hey Brizzle, you mind if I tied a little bit of Thorun's backstory into your backstory? And I'm waiting to see what his reply is. He's currently playing XCOM 2. So out of character, just to let you know, if you're asking whether or not Sylvester knows a certain spell, the answer is almost always yes, because he knows nearly every spell in the campaign. Including such things like True Resurrection. Which he's actually used. He used that in Timeline 1. Jaden footed the bill, but Jaden wanted him to use True Resurrection on a dead goblin he found from a loot box.
Oh, I'm gonna be real with you. Timeline 1 seems to be far more altruistic in their design versus Timeline 2, where it's just like, okay, some things clearly need to be killed, and things don't.
Yeah, Timeline 1 is a lot more like a team of superheroes, where Timeline 2 is a lot more like a team of adventurers. If that makes it, that's the way I think of it. Like, Timeline 1 is a lot more altruistic, with the only person who's kind of not being Zokarai and Jaden, and that's about it. Ragnachild's getting a taste of that, though. Ragnachald is very much the most altruistic of this group, and I mean, she's getting a taste of it now with her little gem thing that she has now, where she can actually start to enact change, which is kind of cool. That's the thing I love about D&D, by the way, unlike video games, where if you make a change, it will last throughout the campaign. It will actually have consequences, and I love that. You want to hear a good example of this?
Yeah.
In Timeline 1 with Lion Fang, when they fought him, while they didn't end up killing him because Finril and Yukari stepped in and delivered the birthday bash presents and stuff, and he got to go away at that point, Zokarai did, with the dagger, entirely shatter his armor, which, if you don't know, his armor was made from all of the dragons he's killed in the past during the Great Dragon War, meaning it had the scales of 15 different dragons in it. And Zokarai completely obliterated that. And so when you guys encounter Lion Fang in Timeline 2, as well as them re-encountering Lion Fang in Timeline 1, he's still not going to have that armor, because there's no way he could easily remake that unless he made another world war. So, like, he doesn't have that armor anymore. It's just gone. He either needs to make some new armor or just run around without armor and just be unarmored. That's a good example of what I'm talking about, where, like, a thing that you did here still affects the villain later on.
Mm-hmm.
And a counter argument to this is a good example of, in many video games, where there's a fight that you're meant to lose against a certain boss, but if you actually manage to win the fight, in a lot of cases, well, the boss isn't actually defeated, but also the boss acts like they never actually lost to you, and the game proceeds as if they never actually lost to you. I know not every game is like this. Devil May Cry 5 is a good example of a game that doesn't do this. But there's a lot of games like the Golden Sun, for example, where that first fight you're meant to lose, but even if you somehow win it, the game will act as if you lost anyway. And just keep going. So, yeah. That's the thing I like about D&D so much, is that it actually changes. Like, it doesn't have the limitation of video games where you can't affect the world that you're in. You can. You can very easily affect the world that you're in. In fact, they might just cause accidentally a world war, is something I'm considering. I'm like considering what Lion Fang's going to do, because he has a couple of different options. Here's one that I think you'll appreciate as a player, but you'd be terrified of as a player character. You know D&D shorts and that zombie apocalypse nuke thing?
Mm-hmm.
Lion Fang already has that prepped, and he can unleash it any time.
Oh my god!
He has a door with like 300 or something whites, if I remember correctly, however many. He could just unleash the zombie apocalypse whenever he felt like he needed to.
Oh my god! And the worst part is, I was thinking about doing that and dropping it on Lion Fang and be like, "Yeah, fuck around and find out."
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. And the worst part is, he doesn't just have one, he has multiples of these set up, just in case. So if he ever wants to, you can just, like, go into a town and just say, your town's now flooded by zombies, and just leave. And just let them deal with all these whites. And even in my campaign, how many towns outside of maybe faction capitals could possibly handle that? Like, could you guys even handle that? I don't know, actually. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, but I don't know. And yeah, that does. Go ahead.
That Lion Fang just has a zombie nuke.
Yeah, he has a bomb. He basically has a zombie nuke on his beck and call anytime he wants to do it. He just holds back because he's not someone who enjoys just inspiring chaos and destruction without need. He's more like a Doctor Doom style character, where everything he does with motive. And thanks to the Timeline 1 fight, he got a ample serving of humble pie and is actually rethinking a lot of his decisions. He's not going to take things easy anymore. Which, unfortunately, means that's also going to have a knock-on effect with Timeline 2, because he's synchronized across the timelines. He's one of the few people that is, just like Silvestro. So if he ever faced you guys, he wouldn't be taking you guys easy the way he did with the Timeline 1 group as a result. But he doesn't have a reason to come after you guys, unlike Timeline 1. The reason why he went after Timeline 1 is because his brother is part of their group. But what do you guys have that he possibly cares about? Like, he doesn't have any sort of grudges against you guys, as far as I can tell.
Potentially the artifact in question?
Potentially the artifact in question. The only other thing I could think of is Shadow? But that's only if he even cares about Shadow being there, which Shadow's such a low-ranking member of his organization, I don't see him caring. Which, that's something we should point out too. Shadow, as strong as he is, Lion Fang has thousands of people as strong as him. He's just one amongst the thousands of such people that Lion Fang just has as an army. Which, if you remember, Shadow's like a level 20 character. So that means that Lion Fang has thousands of level 20 plus characters just at his beck and call. Just unleash. Who all have magic resistance as an epic boon, all points. Because Shadow has magic resistance, in case you forgot. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I don't hold them back purposefully. I mean, it's hard not to as a DM, but like, I don't. Because I do put, it's just, this is a very reserved sort of character, if that makes sense. I won't say reserved. It's not necessarily reserved. It's more just, I don't know what I'm getting at. My brain's ceasing function. I'm running out of brain power. I've been talking too much. Apologies if I've I don't know what I'm even apologizing for. Just apologies if anything bad has happened as a result of me talking so much.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around the fact that he has a zombie button.
Yeah,
Ah,
and he hasn't unleashed it.
I get the feeling if we were ever to almost bring him close to death, he would do that as a last resort and then dip.
Potentially, yeah.
That is mortally terrifying.
I when designing Lion Fang's character, I will say one of the things he is paranoid about is being wiped from the world completely. So, unlike some liches, he has done everything in his power to ensure that no matter what any group does, even if Silvestro comes after him, he will still be able to keep living and keep going, regardless of what people try to do to him. He has tried to find various ways to do it. Up to the point where he even tried to get the immortality boon, the immortality epic boon. Like, yeah. The only thing that actively has been shown to thwart all of his attempts is the Jathaman dagger. But it's not required to kill him. It just does a lot of damage. But then again, it's meant to kill gods, and he's far from a god. Okay, I won't say far, but he is far from one. He's not even a minor god.
Enough.
Oh no.
Oh, I don't know how we're gonna deal with him if we ever deal with him. But I do believe I'm going to get up out of here.
Okay. Take care, everyone. I was about to wrap up the stream soon. I'm actually talking to Bristle currently about the whole backstory thing. I'll let you know about that once I'm done.
Ooh. But, yeah. Later.
Later. Alright. Recommending shield. Okay. White shield is just shield. Got it. What time is it? It is 3 hours and 17 minutes. I'm gonna do some more stuff here. Hopefully that doesn't get me copyright claimed, what I was just humming. Shout outs for those of you out there who know what I was humming. It was not intentional. I was not meaning to. But I did it. Okay, so... These are the exact shape. Okay. Where? Okay, and let's just take the very rare do figurines of wondrous power. Bam. What was that? Means of wondrous power. Okay. Well, I think this is a good place to stop it here. I do want to take a small rest. So, thank you everyone for watching. In case you still are watching. Comments in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll talk to y'all later.